but Alice has continuously lied to hide the truth about what really happened in our relationship.
When you should lay down like a good fucking dog
And solidify the false narrative that she's built about me over the last year.
I'm gonna bash your head against the wall with a brick.
And you decided to wait a whole year to come out against that. It just makes absolutely perfect sense, doesn't it? The risk assessment that this person that supposedly diagnosed him says that he had a past history of verbal aggression to his former girlfriend. Wow. He told on himself. He forgot to redact that. Oh, how redacted of you, ImAllexx. He's showing us a text message that him giving a sob story to InAbber, and then InAbber saying like, hey, listen, you said you had like a text that would prove your innocence. Why don't you just like post that? And he's like, I'm afraid to because he knows that that's not actually what it is, and he knows he's lying. All right, let's get into this let's get into this ImAllexx thing. Super duper exciting stuff here, okay? Anyway, the girl, I guess, made a tweet in response to this. It's just very simple. All you've done is try to paint me out to be a liar instead of owning up to what you did and taking accountability, which I'm sure will work in your favor after I post the rest. Ooh, is she gonna go nuclear on him? Listen, man, it's been 9 months. Here's what I have to say. It's been 9 months. I have 2 videos on the topic. I'm going to put them in the description. All right. It's been 9 months. If this guy was innocent, frankly, I think he would have responded immediately. But from what I remember, we saw a pretty significant amount of evidence that this guy is a disgusting person. We have text messages. I think there was some audio and video recordings. There's a lot. And, you know, I feel like one of the reasons why he's waiting so long to talk about this is because people will forget. People will forget some of the heinous, gross stuff that he did. I don't remember all of it, but I remember how I felt. And I was like, I remember feeling after receiving the information. You guys know that I'm an epic-based facts over feelings guy. And I remember being disgusted with this guy's behavior. And so, you know, we're not going to let the tactic work where he decides to just come back and lie with this, oh, puppy dog eye. Oh, look at me, guys. Oi, I'm the victim here, actually. I'm actually the victim here. I think he hit her or something, too. It was, like, really gross. Let's just see what he has to say. Let's go.
This video is my response to allegations made by my ex-girlfriend, Alice Hes, who I was in a relationship with for the majority of 2023.
Wow. I would have definitely waited 9 months or so.
Alice hit me, kicked me, emotionally, verbally, and physically abused me, as well as threatened me and blackmailed me constantly throughout our relationship.
Yeah, that's so sad. You know what? I believe all of it. I believe all of that. You want to know why? It's called reactive abuse. ImAllexx, from what I've seen, is the aggressor. Her responding not perfectly. Oh, boo-hoo. I was really horrible to a girl. And then she responded by being bad back to me. You're right. She should have just taken it laying down. We love it, baby. We love it.
Alice has continued to harass me by posting false information about me, as well as fabricating stories about our relationship online to
So then why don't you sue her? You have a lot of money. Sue her, and then you should have immediately came out. Why'd you wait 9 months?
this day. All of this will be covered in detail in this video, and for full clarity, I will be reading from a document that I've written to make sure that this is treated with the seriousness that it deserves. Since our relationship ended, Alice has lied continuously for the last 12 months that I was under a police investigation to friends, ex-girlfriends.
Isn't this what she posted? Good afternoon, Alice. As discussed during our telephone call, please find attached documents containing safeguarded advice in relation to above crime report. Oh, wow. An investigation team. Yada, yada, yada. This is from the 3rd of June, 2024. This email and the other company documents contain information from Kent Police, Essex County, yada, 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 yada. We don't have to read the specifics. I believe her evidence. Here's a bunch of information about what's going on. This is more information that she went to the police. So she contacted the police, which is what you're supposed to do. So she's already operating correctly. Wow. You're doing so well, ImAllexx. ImAllexx, you're doing a good job, ImAllexx. You're doing a great job coming back, buddy. You know what ImAllexx could have done? He could have came back and be like, bro, I was a real piece of shit. And you know what? I didn't even realize it. Or something. I guess you could say that. I don't know. Or you could just not come back. Use a VTuber model and a voice changer. I don't know. Do something different.
Friends and YouTube commentary channels. Alice has continued to make false allegations about me to this day and said that she had pressed charges against me in a comment on TikTok.
Yeah, it looks like she did. In a comment on TikTok. Wow.
This is a lie, as at no point have I been interviewed, arrested, or charged with a crime. But Alice continues to slander me publicly.
Oh my god, he's like Andrew Tate.
These lies. Alice said that future partners can check Clare's law, and later claimed she got me put down in the system, so that any future partners who know how Clare's law works can use this information to stay safe from me. The information that is accessible through Clare's law will be a criminal record, also known as a criminal history. All of this information is...
What we really want to see is the glow up from when Papa Gut first covered this topic to the now. Look at this guy, doesn't even show his biceps. But look at all this information she shows. You totally have to be right. You're crazy.
It's available on the Clare's Law website, which I will link in the description. Alice has said that Clare's Law can be used and that I am in the system, alleging that I am a convicted criminal or that I have a criminal record.
I don't care. I don't give a shit.
Alice also says in the same messages that the police didn't do anything at all. These statements completely contradict each other, as it would not be
It sounds like she reported you and then they didn't do anything. Okay.
possible for the police to have done nothing, and for the police to have put me on the system as a convicted criminal or as someone with a criminal record. Alice's story
You can be on Clare's Law's list without charges, and the only way to access the list is if someone in his life requested about him to their local police, which she said so he's lying. Damn, he's getting owned.
continues to make no sense, as Alice later said that I was charged by police, but this would not be possible
What?
if the police. Alice's story
Did you ever press charges? I did everything I could yet. Wait, dude, wait, hold on a second.
continues, and for the police to have put me on the system as a convicted criminal or as someone with a criminal record. Alice's story continues to make no sense, as Alice later said that I was charged by police.
This doesn't even say that. This person said, did you press charges? And she said, I did everything I could do, yes. Pressing charges doesn't mean that you were charged. And this is just her saying she could do anything. She did everything that she could. What?
But this would not be possible if the police never did anything at all.
He sounds so stupid.
Alice claims she had achieved her goal of getting me put on a list.
Been down the system, so anyone who knows how Clare's Law works. Okay, so let's see. All right, guys, this is what here we go. Under Clare's Law, officially the domestic violence disclosure scheme, a person does not need to have a conviction to be included in a disclosure. The scheme allows police to share information about an individual's history if there's evidence suggesting they pose a risk of domestic violence or abuse, even if they haven't been convicted. So that means that this dude is on Clare's Law, not because there was any conviction, but because there was enough evidence for the police to go, he belongs here. Wow, you're doing a good job defending yourself, buddy boy. You're doing a great job. You're doing a great job, brother.
Accessible via Clare's Law, and that she had saved people because of this.
Okay.
None of the statements made about the police investigation make any sense, as Alice claims she had put me on a list that would require me having a criminal record and a caution from the police.
That's just simply not true. Good job. Good job, bud.
Also says the police didn't do anything at all. This is
Okay. I'm sure the police did something. Her saying they didn't do anything at all might be like, hey, I went to the police and they didn't do what I wanted them to do, and then she'd be like, yeah, they didn't do anything at all. You know, you guys know what I mean? Like, you're upset. You know, and they're like, they didn't do anything at all for me. Okay, they probably did do something for her. They probably put him on that list. But they weren't able to do what they should have been able to do because this guy is, from what I remember, a disgusting piece of shit. Right? So, okay.
This is because Alice is and always was lying. I would like to make it incredibly clear. I have never been contacted, approached, or interviewed by police at any point in my life. And
I definitely believe you, bud. That's why you waited 9 months, yes?
I do not have a record or any cautions. Claiming that I am a convicted criminal or have a criminal history is
She didn't claim that.
the first of many lies that will be covered in this video. There
Well, she didn't say that, did she? So what are you talking about?
has at no point ever been a police investigation, but Alice has continuously lied to hide the truth about what really happened in our relationship and solidify the false narrative that she's built about me over the last year. Alice
And you decided to wait a whole year to come out against that. It just makes absolutely perfect sense, doesn't it? I'd definitely wait a year if somebody came out with false accusations against me. It's fucking incredible. By the way, did he announce a lawsuit? Because he would have announced a lawsuit. He would have announced a lawsuit if this was all defamation of character. He wouldn't be doing it this way. Well, let's see.
Alice wrote all of these messages and posted the document knowing that the police investigation was a lie, as it would not be possible for Alice to share any information if this was at any point an ongoing case. A YouTube commentary channel called Samuel said that she had been dealing with the police instead of immediately taking it to social media when he spoke to Alice.
Hey, I just thought I'd
Okay.
come in to say that I've spoke to Alice, the ex of Alex, and I've also spoke to ImAllexx.
Wow. Larry's get a fucking haircut, bud.
Now, Alice is dealing with this with the police as well. Has got the police involved. So instead of just immediately taking it to social media and speaking about it, has also got the police involved beforehand. And is dealing with it that way. She's going to the police about that, trying to get the situation sorted properly before she speaks about it online. Which is definitely a change. Usually people just immediately come online to speak about stuff and air it all out before going to the police.
Sure,
This is a lie, as Alice had already posted months before she had released the document that I was on Clare's Law and a comment on TikTok in April 2024.
Are you a moron? If she posted about how you were on Clare's Law, that means that she would have had to speak to the police to get you on there. Wait, what?
This would mean the police investigation had already finished and that I would have a criminal
No, it doesn't.
record 3 months after we had broken up,
He's such a liar!
which would be impossible. Alice had also posted a video in April saying that she wanted to save the next girl that I would date.
Okay, good. I'm happy that she hopefully saved somebody.
This clip is from a stream 2 months after Alice had posted videos and comments about me. Samuel says Alice does not want to come out and talk about this until after the police investigation had taken place.
And it did, because the police got... What? Yeah, so in order to get put on there, like, the police have to interview you. You have to have a history with the police of domestic violence, domestic abuse, violence, or behavior that poses a risk to others. There has to be multiple instances, escalating behavior. There doesn't have to be. There's no formal process. So it's not like this. Like it's an official thing, but you don't have to get charged. So is he saying he's not on Claire's law? He's trying to suggest that, but like all she has to do is confirm that he's on that law. That's it. What?
Which was a lie. This is not how anything is unfolded publicly at all. Alice has been posting about me constantly and also released an entire document about me after lying that I was on Claire's law.
Okay, when did she release her video? Yeah, she was talking about all this after her video was released, after she released all of her information. Of course she's gonna... Dude, he's showing us screenshots of her after she already released the information. She went to the police first, and then after that happened, she decided to come online and talk about it. Good. I'm happy that she did that. Cool. Great.
She did not wait for a police investigation.
Yes, she did.
There wasn't one. And
yes, she did.
Alice later admitted that this was the case and that the police didn't do anything. At one point, Alice claimed...
No, what?
I hadn't... She knew there wasn't one. And Alice later admitted that this was the...
And it's been dropped. Police don't do anything about situations like this. They never have unless I took this to court or he contacted me again. But he has to be put down in the system. So he has been put down. Wait, hold on a second. He's showing us the proof that she put him in the... Wait, oh my God. But he has been put down in the system, so anyone who knows how Clare law works can get this information and stay safe from him, aka new girlfriend request. He's like showing us information that would suggest that he's actually on Claire's law while telling us that he's not on there. Like, what is she... He's like gaslighting us. All you have to do is read the entirety of this statement. And it's like, yeah, the police couldn't do anything about it. More formally, but they were able to put him on Claire's law, which is consistent with how the law works. It is not, you don't have to get convicted of anything. There just has to be reasonable evidence that you are some kind of a threat. Oh, he's showing us incriminating evidence as if he's not, like, he's, what?
The case, and that the police didn't do anything. At one point, Alice claimed I hadn't responded.
That says that the police did do something.
That she speculated that the police had contacted me, and that was why I hadn't replied. Alice
Probably.
was upset this message had been leaked in a YouTube video, and she hadn't intended for it to be posted publicly, as it would be incredibly clear that she was lying about the police investigating me to the point where she was actively speculating and telling lies when questioned about it. At this time, Alice reached out to my ex-girlfriends privately and asked my ex-girlfriend Jess to plan a statement to back up hers.
Is she okay?
Lying about the involvement of the police to convince people that her story was the truth.
Okay.
Alice has continued to post about me and harass me to this day, despite stating in her document that she was going to move on with her life after it was released in June.
Okay, those are all okay. I don't care. I don't care.
Since Alice's document, she went on to post many things on Twitter, TikTok, and in statements that contradict her story.
Oh yeah, what's that?
One of Alice's document, she went on to post many things on Twitter.
What is it? What is it? What contradicts what?
TikTok, and in statements that contradict her story.
How does it contradict her story?
One of the contradictions made was in a series of tweets Alice posted asking for YouTubers to reach out to her so she...
With the fact private DMs get put in videos without contacting or asking me permission is crazy. It shows people really are out for themselves and not my party involved. Okay. I would have been happy to approve and say more than the matter. Don't be sneaky about it. Okay.
You can do interviews for their videos on the false police investigation after her document was posted. Alice did multiple interviews where she has lied about me having a criminal record via Claire's
I mentioned in my statement, this is not a criminal record.
Law and being under investigation by police.
That's not a criminal record. What are you talking about?
Multiple interviews where she has lied about me having a criminal record via Claire's law. And
That's not a criminal record. Hey, since it was reposted, I came out publicly. I haven't heard from ImAllexx. I asked for an update a few days ago about waiting for hear anybody, but I can assume that, okay. It's what? Being
under investigation by police. She continued doing this for months, and these lies have been shared in many videos.
So sue her. So sue her for defamation. Sue her!
Alice said that she can give updates and that people should message her directly, even though in these messages, Alice said that she hadn't received any updates or heard anything from police at all. She
okay.
told YouTubers she couldn't share information until everything with the false police investigation had finished.
But it had finished. It was finished! That's why you're on Claire's law! If you were correct, you would have sued. You would have sued.
Alice as well, speaking to her. She does want to like come out and speak about this.
Hey guys,
eventually
bills are
after,
due.
all the police stuff, and just wants to be able to get all the information. She's got proof as well, and she wants to be able to get all that out there once she's spoken to the police properly.
This story at no point has made any sense, as Alice says that she would only
So
post
far,
about this after the police investigation had finished.
So far, all of this story that from what she's saying makes perfect sense, right? We understand this.
But then continued to say that the police were involved months after she had posted her document, which once again shows that Alice was lying the entire time. Alice claims she can provide updates to YouTubers in this tweet, but made an excuse to people she was arguing with on Twitter that the reason she couldn't provide updates to them was because of the fact that there was a police investigation, and that she wasn't allowed to share anything until it was finished. And that now it had finally finished, she could share more information again.
I'm looking through the transcript, and I haven't found a single moment where he says he's going to sue her. Everything. Why aren't you suing her if she's lying and you know it? Why aren't you not suing her?
This makes no sense, as Alice had already shared an entire document about me, and was then asking people if she could continue to share more information about me in interviews on her Twitter that were then posted onto YouTube. Alice wrote right at the end of her document that for legal and obvious reasons, she wouldn't attach all the evidence she has, but in due time, it may be made public. Not only is this not how police investigations work, but Alice has not posted more evidence.
Why wouldn't that be how police investigations work? What are you talking about? There's certain private information that you wouldn't want to share because basically you wouldn't want the other person to know about it, because then it would make your case like more difficult for you to catch you in more bullshit. What is he talking about?
Evidence since, despite saying the supposed investigation had now ended. This is because there never was an investigation, as it was a lie. It would not have been possible for Alice to share anything at all by her own admission if there actually ever was a police investigation in place. Alice has continuously lied and claimed that this was the only thing stopping her from releasing information.
Then sue her, okay?
She acknowledged this herself in this tweet and when speaking to YouTubers. The reality is there never was a police investigation, which Alice later admitted to. This is why I'm speaking to YouTubers. The reality is there never was a police investigation, which Alice...
I mentioned in my statement I wouldn't be releasing anything until he ever responded and tried to avoid accountability or twist the narrative to get out what he's done to me. Get out of what he's done to me. Because that's what he threatened he would do, and realistically I think there's enough evidence out there for everyone to know and understand how shitty he was to me as a person, you know? And it's been dropped. It's been dropped. Police didn't do anything about situations like this. They never have unless I took the court. What is... what? This isn't what that says.
In this tweet and when speaking to YouTubers. The reality is there never was a police investigation, which Alice later admitted to.
That's not even what that is. He keeps using the same sentence over and over again as if it's destructive evidence, and he flashes it on the screen so quick so that you don't like look at it. He's banking on the idea that nobody will pause and read what he's saying. Holy fuck.
This is why Alice decided to publicize a heavily edited version of events that damaged my reputation with false stories and lies like alleging I'm
then sue her.
The criminal with a criminal record.
That's not what that means, you stupid dumb fuck.
I have taken my time gathering information and evidence as Alice has continued to lie about me and the abuse she put me through during our relationship, whilst
then she didn't abuse you enough. I'm kidding.
Mailing me and threatening me. Alice has created a one-sided narrative that does not show the reality of what had happened during our relationship.
Well, then maybe you should sue her, big popular content creator. Defamation is so much easier to prove in England too.
Due to Alice's constant posting about me and my own personal issues, my response has been delayed many times, and all of this will be covered throughout this video.
What? What are you talking about?
When Alice's story was questioned by people on Twitter, she responded with threats to delete my phone number whilst also insulting me and anyone who pointed out these inconsistencies.
Oh god, do I have to like pause these and read this stupid shit he's putting out?
By people on Twitter.
If you wanted to suck off Alex so bad, I can give you a number. I think that's a joke she's making, but okay.
She responded with threats to delete my phone number.
Yap. You're arguing with yourself here, darling. I only offended you. I only offered you his number. It's the same person. That's probably a fake you account that's trying to argue in your favor.
Also insulting.
You want to suck him off so bad? Good luck finding it. He's talking about how you have a small peepee. Okay.
Me and anyone who pointed out.
I forgot I asked you this question. I ran a tweet about Alex. I was why has been bitch sassy. So sorry, bitch. Didn't know giving information at those regarding. I don't understand I don't understand what this is. She made one joke about how she'll give a number to a guy so that he can go suck you off, and you're making it seem like she's trying to fucking formally dox you. What are you talking about?
These inconsistencies in her document. Alice
there hasn't been any inconsistencies.
Would then block these people after arguing and insulting them.
Wow, insulting these people. Wow, what a bad person that she blocked people that she's arguing with.
Replying to her posts as they were highlighting many of the inconsistencies and lies that Alice had made.
It's probably you accounts that are lying about it.
Changed her Google document multiple times to hide these criticisms and has...
What?
crop messages that showed her using the same racial slurs that she had accused me of bringing into our relationship, as it
I don't care.
directly contradicted her story. This was
I don't care that she was doing racial slurs. To be honest with you, this is about like domestic abuse. I don't give a shit about slurs.
unacceptable behavior, and I deeply regret using such horrific language. And this
What did he do to her? From what I remember, he was abusive. I'll put I'm gonna put this in there. I'll put the main video in there for you to take a look at. It's a long read through, but
will be further addressed in this video. Alice has erased any evidence that these events had taken place or that she had been at any point abusive, physically, verbally, or emotionally towards me.
She probably it's called what did I say before? Reactive abuse. I don't care.
And this proceeds throughout her entire document, which has since been edited multiple times, which was pointed out by a user on Twitter.
Just a random user on Twitter?
Proceeds throughout her entire document, which has since been edited multiple times.
This is him. This is him, by the way. I guarantee you that this is him.
Which was pointed out by a user on Twitter. Alice's entire story has been...
She might have changed something. Ooh, that means that it's all fake.
Built on lies. And in this video, I will be showing screenshot evidence that directly refutes the claims that she has made against me, as Alice intentionally left out hundreds of text conversations that would disprove her stories and false narrative that she has created.
It's a good thing that you waited a year to come forward. That really helps you a lot.
Instead, it would show that Alice had been abusing me for our entire relationship, and that she has not stopped harassing me for
I don't care about this.
the last year. Alice has made tweets stating that I do not have any trauma from our relationship together and that she never hit me. These statements are untrue, and in fact, Alice admits to slapping me and pushing me in another in her own document.
Oh, okay.
Never hit
But I didn't abuse him emotionally or physically. Well, that's her saying she didn't abuse you. If she's countering your abuse, it wouldn't be considered abuse, not to me.
me. These statements are untrue, and in fact, Alice
I slapped him in the face. Okay. Yeah, I ended up defending myself. I slapped him in the face. Okay.
admits to slapping me and pushing me in
Yeah, probably in self-defense.
another in her own document. Alice had also been kicking me, which
I didn't randomly start kicking you. I probably pushed you away. Can you play the whole thing? I didn't kick you multiple times and hard. I'm trying, but yeah, okay, it's all... I don't care. Yeah, that's what I remember. There was video and audio footage of this whole situation. Well, we get a little refresher, guys. What do you think?
about you, and this is the thing, and this is why I fucking go round and round in circles. I join call, and when I'm getting... You're talking to me, going... This is the thing. Even though, now, when it's too fucking late, you admit that you did everything fucking wrong. But when it actually matters... When you should lay down like a good fucking dog, you don't fucking do it. You fight for some reason. I don't know what.
Oh, she was abusive to you when you called. As this before, or after you called her a dog. You don't win. You're calling her a dog, and you want me to believe she was abusive to you? Oh boy, oh boy, incredible. This is incredible.
Why you fight? Because you're losing. Because you end up admitting that you fucked it all up anyway. So it's just fucking weird. And I know that you're going to end up admitting that you fucked it all up. Which is why it's the thing about you.
He calls her a dog. What the fuck? Let's see what else we got here. What's up? What other video evidence? Let's see.
Sorry first.
So I'm a fucking whore mouth bitch.
Yeah.
Is it generally because you're just fucking brain dead?
Yeah, I'm very brain dead, yeah.
Is that why you decided to go on the fucking offensive instead of the
Didn't go on the
maybe?
offensive.
Yeah, this sounds like you really respect her a lot, bud.
Okay.
Well, yeah, this is so beautiful.
I don't know what to call what you did. It was weird. It's always weird.
Always
You always
so
take the fucking weird route. Just do the normal route, which is
The normal route,
just
dude.
do the normal route, but a normal girlfriend.
You're
and don't
acting
go,
like
"I
this
didn't-
is
I didn't
all
mean
just
it."
me, and that's something you
Yeah.
really need to fucking fix.
I'm gonna fucking bash your fucking head against the wall with a brick.
Oh! There's the proof! She almost killed him there! Oh! You're gonna bash her in the skull with a brick. That's incredible. You have to understand that basically what you don't understand about women, guys, is women, they have psychic powers. And if you don't act incredibly aggressively, you are going to get taken over by psychic brain girl power that will rot your brain. So here, you guys are not seeing it, but he has to tell her that he's going to physically assault her to the point of giving her traumatic brain injury as the best case scenario in that, because, I mean, if you're getting your skulls bashed in, of course. He has to do that. It's part of his ability to ward off the mental demons of this woman. What a fucking idiot. This is incredible.
If you don't shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Because this one, genuinely, this one, you fucked this. Royally fucked this.
You royally fucked this up. That's incredible. You're doing a good job.
Like, massive issues there. And you think you can just fucking ignore them because, like, well, what's the worst that can happen? I don't know. Your boyfriend's a fucking famous internet celebrity and doesn't trust these people because he has to keep his circle small. Because you might not have anything to fucking lose, because your life might be down the fucking drain, but I still have quite a lot that I would like to fucking give.
Wow, that's usually how I talk to all the girls I date. This is the nicest way, you know?
You're making...
And I'm not even that good of a guy. Like, I mean, I was... I wasn't abusive, but I wasn't like a really great guy. I used to work like long hours and I had a lot of stress in my relationship, so my ex and I would go back and forth and shit, and we're both acted like not the best version of ourselves. Nothing ever compared to this. This is insane.
Incredibly fucking hard for me. Just like Lewis did.
Yeah.
I fucking hate all of you. You guys are fucking like I can't make any videos of Paul Breach.
Yeah.
What judging mental is. I think I may have said like 100 times to the point where it's actually really hard to follow what I'm saying because it's so flexible. Yeah. I've gone, you could do this, but you might be able to do that, but you might be able to do that, and you might be able to do this, and this might work, but you might be able to do that. And it sounds fucking mental. I don't even understand how you
This is him giving her advice on how to become a famous creator.
Actually follow along to it. Like most of my friends struggle to actually understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, because they're so
that's
stupid.
Why
you know?
I'm a professional and you're all not.
Yep, that's why you're a stupid big idiot. That's right. That's what he's saying.
And then when you go, I don't like this.
Hey, you're a big stupid idiot. You're my girlfriend. Need I say more? Need I say more? Need I say more, guys? Wow. How much more of this do we need? What is this? I don't know if this is too long. I'm not playing in half an hour worth, you know? Here we go.
What? I don't understand. Because nobody got anything to fucking be stuck up over.
Wow. It's a video of him probably being abusive.
Needs to be an...
To be honest with you, I don't feel like I need to rewatch this. You can go watch my full thing. I think watching those video clips of her emotionally berating her and telling her that she's going to bash her skull in are probably enough evidence that he's abusive. There's a reason why I remember it that way. You can go watch the full video. We don't need any more of that. We really don't need to watch any more of that.
But she admitted to me on Facebook Messenger after she had lied that I was on Clare's law. And all of this will be covered separately.
Wait, what?
Kicking me, but she admitted to me on Facebook Messenger after she had lied that I was on Clare's law. And all of this will be covered separately.
It's not lied.
Throughout this video.
I believe her based on what I just saw. I feel like that would be enough for the police to put you on this list.
And all of this despite claiming she was never physically abusive at any point in our relationship, which is a lie, as Alice was physically abusing me regularly, which she has hidden and now lied about publicly. Alice also posted a series of tweets in argument on Twitter, stating that I do not have BPD, also known as borderline personality disorder.
I don't care if you do. It's not an excuse for your disgusting actions. Get your shit together, bitch, you know? You have a lot of money. You can afford the medication or whatever you would need for your BPD if you had it.
Alice has even gone as far as diagnosing me as a narcissist in her document.
You might actually be. Listen, I'm not a super smarty mental guy, but the way that you talk is fucking unhinged. It's actually unhinged. Like, this is one of the very rare instances of somebody coming forward online about somebody being a horrifically bad, terrible person and it being correct. Just to be clear, you might actually be a narcissist.
And she claimed that she is an empath. I was diagnosed by my psychiatrist with what they believe to be emotionally unstable personality disorder.
What they believe to be? Okay, I don't know. When I got diagnosed with ADHD, I didn't say, "Oi, I got diagnosed with ADHD from what the doctor thought that it might be." I was like, yeah, I got diagnosed. That's what it is. I didn't cast doubt on my own diagnosis because I'm not a fucking weirdo.
Also known as borderline personality disorder. I was then referred to my local community mental health team after the diagnosis from my psychiatrist.
Look at the clinic date. He was diagnosed after the document dropped on him. What the fuck?
Alice has even gone as far as diagnosing me as a narcissist in her document, and she claimed that she is an empath. I was diagnosed by my psychiatrist.
What is this? Wait. Oh my god. Wait a minute. What the hell? What? He got himself diagnosed after the fact? He got himself diagnosed with BPD after the fact? Wait, I'm sorry. He got himself supposedly diagnosed after the fact. After the way he communicated about it was in a way that casts doubt that it even exists in the first place. What the fuck? You want me to read it? What's to read? The patient is currently under the care of another mental health service. Please forward this report to the other service. Please inform us if at any point the patient is admitted to a psychiatric unit or assessed under the Mental Health Act, or presents with a significant deterioration of their mental health or an increased risk of harm to others. Okay. Never engage in antisocial behavior. Neither the police was ever involved. Never engage in antisocial behaviors. Neither the police was ever involved. What? That doesn't even sound like a sentence. Past history of consistent misuse of cannabis, binge drinking. Okay. Alex engaged well with the interview and a good relationship was maintained through the assessment. He spontaneously answered all the questions asked. A bunch of redacted stuff. All the time of the interview, his mood appeared to be subjectively and objectively euphemic, I don't know, with reactive effect. What? During the assessment, no free-floating or serrated anxiety was objectivable. Sleep was described poor in quality and quantity. He claimed having a reduced concentration. His disclosed past binge drinking was a form of self-harm. He experienced some fleeting sussy thoughts in the past. Denied current thoughts and or present or past actual intent or plan. His family member and friends are protective factors. They appeared not to be present through the situation. Broadcasting was... Okay. What does this matter? Risk to self, past binge drinking, risk to others. What does this have to do... What is this? Is this even a diagnosis for... Is this even a diagnosis? Wait, is this even a diagnosis for BPD? What is this even a diagnosis for borderline? I don't understand. Oh, is that what it says? Past history of verbal aggression to the girlfriend? Where is that? With a mood of intense interpretation. Oh shit, I should have kept reading. Risk to others. Denied present past history of physical aggression to others. Past history of verbal aggression to former girlfriend. Oh my god. Okay. Past history of verbal aggression to former girlfriend. Wow. That's incredible. The risk assessment that this person that supposedly diagnosed him with BPD after she came forward, by the way, so she wouldn't have even known about this, says that he had a past history of verbal aggression to his former girlfriend. Wow. He told on himself. He forgot to redact that. Oh, how redacted of you, ImAllexx. This is what an incredible meant to beware. Oh my god. Oh my goodness. That's incredible. I have to be a better reader. This is insane. I believe I was able to gather a good account of Alex's personal history and mental state. Since the end of the relationship, his mental state appears to have massively improved, with a marked reactivity of mood, engaging in intense interpersonal relationships, and being very sensitive to environmental circumstances with low tolerance of frustration. As a matter, a bunch of redacted stuff, he also described inappropriate anger outbursts, and such episodes were often followed by feelings of guilt and shame. Dude, this guy has legitimate anger problems. This whole thing is telling us that. He also described inappropriate anger outbursts, and such episodes were often followed by feelings of guilt and shame. Wait a minute. This guy went to the doctor and he got diagnosed, and he was self-reporting that he was an abusive person. This is insane that he's showing it to us like we would have read it. In a summary, therefore, I believe that Alex might be affected from emotionally unstable personality disorder. A discussion was held on symptoms and presentation of this disorder, and I explained to Alex that BPD is a serious mental health condition with complex needs for which he should be under care of a community health team in order to receive the most appropriate treatment with multidisciplinary approach. A discussion was also held on how there are no medications approved for the treatment of this disorder, but there is broad consequences on psychotherapy, namely DBT or MBT, as the primary treatment for borderline disorder. Hence, I recommend for Alex to be referred to local mental health team. Dude, this is so funny. Okay, I'm going to tell you the funniest part of this whole thing. This guy swears up and down that he was not abusive to his girlfriend while showing us documentation of him getting diagnosed with BPD after she dropped her information, so she wouldn't have even known about it. Supposedly diagnosed. And in the diagnosis, it literally says that he had a history of being verbally aggressive and abusive to his partner, and that he would constantly have anger outbursts. And so instead of coming forward and being like, hey guys, after this situation, I went to a mental health counseling because I legitimately have an actual issue and a problem. And for the past year, I have unironically been actually working on myself, which might have worked because it might have been honest. Instead of saying that, he goes, she's lying, while showing us that he's lying. What, is he stupid? This is insane.
With what they believe to be emotionally unstable personality.
From moving from this point on, you can't believe a single word that he says. Because he just lied to us to our face. This guy might actually he's a legitimate threat to society.
Disorder, also known as borderline personality disorder. I was then referred to my local community mental health team after the...
In summary, therefore, I believe that Alex might be affected with emotional unstable personality disorder. This session is held in symptoms of blah, blah, blah. Explain the serious mental... Okay, we read this already.
Diagnosis from my psychiatrist. To claim that I haven't been diagnosed with BPD is untrue. Alice
You got diagnosed after, though.
has made multiple tweets spreading false information about my medical history, whilst continuing to lie during these arguments she has online regarding me.
But you know that Dude, this is actually... Dude, this guy's a legitimate threat to society. He knows Dude, oh my god, he knows he's lying. He knows he's lying. Oh my god, you didn't have this you didn't have this diagnosis when you were together. He knows this guy's a legitimate threat.
Alice replied to a tweet which she believed was about me, where she denied that I have BPD, as she thought the original tweet was in defense of me. When it was pointed out the tweets were not about me, and that they were about another YouTuber, Alice tried to justify her ongoing posts lying about me as simply sharing information,
Oh my God.
even though nobody had asked, and she had said she wasn't going to post about me after the document was released due to the police investigation that she had lied about. Alice has continued to try and remain in control of the narrative surrounding me and my life for the last 12 months by spreading many lies, including this one. Alice has opened her document by saying that I will make a contradicting response to the allegations that she has made against me, and that
Yeah, but you're already contradicting yourself in your contradicting response, so you look really stupid right now.
after posting her statement she can move on with her life. But this was a lie, as Alice has continued to post about me many times online to this day,
I don't care. I don't give a shit.
as I have shown and will show throughout this video.
don't
Alice
care.
claimed that I threatened her not to
Oh no, she didn't stop talking about the guy that was confirmed abusive to her. Oh no, she should have done so much better, guys. Oh no.
come forward with her story, and repeats this when talking with YouTube commentary channels. Alice shows no proof of this, and that is because this is the exact opposite, as Alice had been threatening and blackmailing me for
Sorry, we gotta
our
pause. We
relationship
gotta
with this, and that is because this is the exact opposite, as Alice had been
flashbang, flashbang, flashbang. Fix it up or I'll break all your Star Wars shit. I hope that she did.
threatening and
Lucky I don't expose that shit. Let me update my story real quick. I don't care about any of this. We saw you being abusive to her. I don't care if she's threatening to do mean things to an abuser.
blackmailing me throughout our
Oh, I don't care. I don't care about any of this.
relationship, and months after it
We don't have to put serious in fucking mental energy into this because he's lying so many times.
had ended. I had told my friends that Alice had been hitting me. Alice denied this on text when she
And I can see you. I don't care.
found out and threatened to sue me if I continued to tell people she had been hitting me throughout our relationship. Alice says that my story will contradict hers, and that is because Alice knows our relationship is not how she has portrayed it online. Alice has lied constantly, and
Well, I mean, again, you showed us apparently a information from some kind of a mental health professional saying that you had a history of being verbally abusive, so I don't care. So, also, hot take, if you're verbally abused to somebody and they hit you, I don't care. No, hitting shit isn't not right, don't do it, but so is verbal abuse. I don't care about any of this. It's just stupid.
I can prove this with the text evidence that she is intentionally not included, as it contradicts her own story. Alice says we had a huge fight, where I dragged her, covered her mouth, and put her in a headlock, and that this happened on the 19th of October, a few days after we had moved in with each other. There are no texts from this time that even suggest that we were fighting or had been in a fight, and that's because this did not happen.
I just want to be very clear about what we just heard. They supposedly had a fight on the 19th of October, but because after the guy that supposedly, and by the way, I believe her, beat the shit out of her, because they didn't have a text message conversation afterwards confirming that he beat the shit out of her, that means that it's not true. Yeah, when I get the shit beaten out of me by my partner, the first thing I do is I create a text message chain trying to get them to confirm it. That's what I do.
On the 19th of October, Alice asked me to call, and the next text message was Alice asking me to sort out my bike in the garage. Later that
And then you showed us mental health documentation that says that you will engage in abusive behavior and then feel guilty about it afterwards. So this is one of the really horrible things, is that this is probably the chain of events that this girl was subjected to. Was ImAllexx being a horrifically abusive piece of shit to her, and then afterwards coming down off of that horrible anger high, and then the two of them would sit together and they would mourn what had happened from the perspective of a different person. So not only was she probably getting the fuck beaten out of her by this guy, afterwards she had to deal with his guilt from beating the fuck out of her. That's what's happening, because this guy is such a piece of shit that he'll be horrible to her, and then they have to sit together and work through his feelings of being guilty about being horrible about it. That's incredible. That's what's probably happening here. That's based on what the information says from the therapist that he showed us, or whatever mental health professional it is. That's the conclusion that's drawn. So, like, wow, this is so great. I wonder if that would be so mentally distressing that somebody would lash out. I don't know. Incredible.
That same day, Alice asked me what's happening, and I tell her the cat had shut me in the cupboard because I was fixing our heating. And then
Cat's trying to save her!
We texted about packages arriving the next day.
The cat's trying to save her!
At 1 past midnight, Alice tells me she'd made me pizza, and on the 20th of October, Alice asked me what I want from the shop, and then we go on to talk about buying Pokemon cards. To claim
what does it have to do with anything?
We had a huge fight where I'd physically assaulted Alice is a lie. I never did
what?
These things Alice has accused me of doing, because this never happened. Alice has texted her mum and used this as proof that this event had taken place after screenshotting the text in real time, as the messages displayed.
It could be a lie. I doubt it based on what we've heard from him. But, like, your evidence for being a lie is stupid, and you look dumb.
The words today instead of the date that they were taken. Alice knew she would be using them in her document, and that she had been planning this full story about me. Alice has used these texts to make it seem like I'd physically assaulted her, when this never happened. This isn't the only time Alice has used similar proof to claim something had happened which had never taken place at all, and she does this many times in her document. Alice provided a list of events that she had written herself directly into her notes app as evidence, and has attached them to her document as proof.
Okay, well, I watched you yell at her and called her worthless, so that's a pretty good proof for me.
Alice was still writing these stories after she had said that she had moved out.
Okay. So?
Which shows that these were written at a later date retroactively for this document.
Okay, so she's remembering things and writing it down? Okay.
One could have written down anything on any date and claimed that it was true. Writing down words into a notes app can be done at any time, and is in no way, shape or form proof that something happened. The texts between us from that time reflect a totally different story that Alice has not included in her document, even though she provided an exact date of the day this had apparently taken place. Instead, Alice has fabricated a story entirely, and has accused me of being physically abusive to hide the fact that she had been slapping, punching and kicking me throughout our relationship. Something that she had tried to hide from her document, and has lied about on Twitter publicly. At no point is this...
So I just want to be absolutely clear when he says that she was trying to hide the fact that she attacked him back. What do you think that the word reactive abuse means inside of her document right here? Do you know what a reactive abuse is? It's when you react to being abused by engaging in similar tactics. This right here is her acknowledging that she did all those things. Is that incredible? Aren't we, like, we're living in a fucking fantasy world? Like, how you sound so fucking stupid. We're doing a great job here, bud. You're having a good time.
Retroactively for this document. Anyone could have written down anything on any date and claimed that it was true. Writing down words into a notes app can be...
Great. Sorry. I skipped behind and I forgot to go back.
...abusive to hide the fact that she had been slapping, punching and kicking me throughout our relationship. Something that she had tried to hide from her document and has lied about on Twitter publicly. At no point has this story ever been consistent, as Alice said that this happened on the 4th day that we moved in with each other in her document and in her notes app, but then had texted me that it happened on the 2nd. And to be...
Okay. So just be clear. The big own is that she said it was technically 4 days, and then in this retelling, when they're having a text message argument, she's like, it was 2 days after. Wow, maybe she got it wrong, or she was, I don't know. Like, literally 2 days after. I don't know. Do you think, like, oh, we're looking back a year. 2 days after you did this to me. Actually, it was 4 days. You just gave me shit 24/7, pushed me away. LOL. No, I didn't. You dragged me. Day 2 of living with you, to the point where I didn't even to sleep in the same bed as you. You put hands on me, pushed me, because I knew you'd just be mean to me. What? This is you guys having a conversation about how, like, you were abusive to her. This is so funny. Like, you actually use this as proof?
To be clear, the text messages from the 17th of October also show that this was not the case.
No, they don't. What are you talking about? You dragged me 2 days. What?
It happened on the 2nd. And to be clear, the text messages from...
What? Hello? What?
the 17th of October also show that this was not the case.
Why? Because you didn't talk about how you beat her? I don't understand.
Alice started to accuse me of being physically abusive of her after I had asked her multiple times to stop her constant physical attacks on me. Because these continued, I had asked to break up. The first time Alice...
Where's the flashbang? Where's the flashbang of the proof that you asked her to do that? If there's no text message, it's not real.
...ever mentioned that this assault had apparently happened was when we...
You literally kicked me. No, man, you're insane. You dragged me. You covered my mouth. Oh my god, no, I haven't. Go away. What the fuck? Okay.
We were in an argument on the day we broke up, and I had told her to leave the house. Alice accused me of grabbing her and said she could prove that this had happened because she had written down the date in her notes app, and then...
Okay, that's great.
...accused me of grabbing her and said she could prove that this had happened because...
You're a crazy fuck. This is him denying it. Okay.
Because she had written down the date in her notes app, and then...
Put in your PC, blah, 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 and then I'll post you being abusive then. I have to cancel tomorrow. You destroyed everything for what? Because I meant to do everything for you. Insane. Don't come back. Can't believe you ever left over. You actually left over cleaning the kitchen. Put so much more stress on me for nothing. You're so fucking weird. Don't ever contact me again. I left the house because you kicked me and insulted me. Okay.
Started to blackmail me and threaten
Well, it just seems like she's trying to get him to admit that he did it, because he probably did do it.
me that she would go to the...
What the fuck? Reminding you seem to have forgotten how abusive you are, and I forgave and I forgave. Oh man, stay the fuck away from me. You kicked me, you psychotic freak. I'm not fucking deal with this. I'm adding to the report. You start shit today. What the fuck? You did. Leave me alone. Can't believe you actually... All right, so this is her trying to get information for him to admit that he did these things to her. Yeah, okay.
To the police and start calling me an abuser. I denied this ever happening and explained how it disturbed me that Alice was trying to gaslight me into believing that this had taken place. I had asked Alice not to come back to the house and that I would leave her stuff in the garage because I wanted to break up and I didn't want her near me anymore, as she had been assaulting me and threatening me since we had started dating.
Not a single thing that you've showed us was you saying that she assaulted you.
When Alice had left the house, I finally thought I could escape our relationship and that I wouldn't have to see her again. This is when Alice began...
Escape her relationship? Oh my god. Putting your PC outside in the garage and all of your other stuff, and I'll post you being abusive then, so maybe don't. Maybe chill out for a day. I've had to cancel tomorrow. Okay,
start blackmailing me and threatening me because I was asking her to stay away. Alice
I don't care.
told me that she was going to come back and that she was only gone for a night. When I told Alice I didn't want her to come back, she accused me of physically abusing her.
Yeah, I believe her.
Alice then threatened to report this...
He keeps doing this thing where he says something over and over again. He just shows the same screenshots as if it's proof of anything.
...lie to the police to stop me from trying to leave our relationship. I knew that now, if I tried to leave, Alice would accuse me of physically abusing her, as she had used this to get me to back down from trying to end our relationship in this conversation. The false accusations and police threats were the final straw. I did not want to be blackmailed again into staying in our relationship. Alice continued to insist that I had assaulted her in our argument over text, but as I've shown, we were completely fine on the 19th of October because this fight never took place.
We were completely fine on the whole entire day, guys. Completely fine. This is the fucking smoking gun.
Alice has created this story because she had been threatening me for our entire relationship with ruining my life and career, and she knew she could bully me into submission and control me with these accusations and threats. Alice had told me that she had recorded me during my manic episodes and when I'd reacted to the constant threats and physical attacks in our relationship. Alice would threaten to post these videos when I tried to leave and
why would you be afraid of those threats of her posting those unless you abused her in them?
When we argued. I felt that I had no choice but to stay when Alice threatened me. Alice...
It makes no sense. You're telling me that when you threatened to leave her and she was like, okay, if you leave me, I'll release the videos of you abusing me, and you're like, oh, I guess I gotta stay. That's your argument? Okay.
Alice has carefully selected these screenshots to hide me denying the physical abuse and to paint a completely different story. Alice has carefully selected these...
I had to stop you somehow. Goodbye, because you don't talk to me. I told you to calm down. You put hands on me because I was screaming. Maybe stop doing that, what you was doing. So I just said don't do it. Fuck off. That's all I said. Bye. Excuses, asshole. That's not what I said. What the fuck?
These screenshots to hide me.
Goodbye, because you don't talk to me. I told you to calm down. What is this? Oh my god.
Me denying the physical abuse and to paint a completely different story, which is untrue. In the full thread that Alice hasn't shown, I told Alice I'd only tried to hug her as I was not talking about grabbing Alice at all at any...
I don't care. I don't believe this way that he's already been lying the first like 10 minutes. I'm tuned out of this guy. He's lying.
Point in the conversation that she has tried to misrepresent. And when we discuss this at a later date, Alice says that I had hugged her and that I had walked away to avoid us fighting, which is not what she's tried to portray in her...
We were fighting and I went to hug her aggressively.
...document at all. In one argument, Alice accused me of dragging her again, to which I sent her a voice message where I told her that it didn't happen.
I'm so confused here, Alice. Like, this morning, I was just trying to talk to you normally. I tried to call you, tried to have a normal conversation, and you escalate it to this. I don't understand. I don't understand, like, why this? Why does it have to be this? Why couldn't you just let me talk to you, like have just a normal conversation today? Why did you do you want it to be this? I don't want to fight you. I don't want to have fights with you. I don't want to have angry text messages with you.
This is so annoying. This whole thing is like so childish. Jesus Christ.
And to which
It's a normal you. I'm done.
Alice then mocked me because I brought up her slapping me. Alice texted me in response saying, "You're mad if you want to say I'd slap you," even though Alice has now admitted she slapped me in the document that she posted.
Good.
In these texts, I said that Alice pushed me away and gave me shit 24/7 to the point where I didn't want to sleep in the same bed as her. At this point, we were sending messages
What?
at the exact same time. This makes it look like we were responding to each other, but we were sending these messages simultaneously, as shown in these screenshots. When I said that Alice can't go around screaming in our house, it was because it was attached to the message where I was explaining why I had started to sleep downstairs because she would punch, kick, and scream at me, so I'd been forced to sleep on the sofa. Because we lived in a rented house, I didn't want to be evicted because of the constant arguments and screaming when I would sleep upstairs. Alice has cropped these messages intentionally to hide the entire context of this conversation. Alice has not only not shown these texts from when this apparent fight took place, but has now cut around messages to portray a story which is untrue. Alice hit me many times throughout our relationship, and this happened consistently from the moment that we started dating. Alice would use physical violence when I refused to do as she had asked, and this is something she admitted to in a conversation on Facebook Messenger. When I brought up that she had been assaulting me throughout our relationship, Alice responded by saying that any girl would have done the same.
Probably.
Alice
You're
also
abusive.
brought up that she had been
But it's true. Why are you talking on Facebook Messenger? Isn't going to make it right, and people are seeing you for this. And you slapped me yesterday. And you said you slapped me yesterday. Yes, I slapped your face one time. Name a girl who hasn't slapped a huge asshole. I know I was, and I'm ashamed of everything, but coming after my life, that's your defense of my girlfriend slapped me because I abused her. You said you slapped me. Have I lied to you here? You dragged me. You don't even deny that you abused her in this message you're showing.
been assaulting me throughout our relationship. Alice responded by saying that any girl would have done the same. Alice also went on to send me
talking about the shit you did, or it's because of everything over the years it's built on. Yeah, I don't want to think I want to be a victim. I don't want to be received. I don't want to be seen, blah, 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 blah. I remember pushing you away from me. I didn't go ahead. Okay, this is stupid as fuck. This is so stupid.
me a message where she said that her kicking
There's
me
so many lies. This is not even worth watching. Well, we're going to still watch it, but this is like ridiculous. It's not even worth reading.
was probably uncalled for. I messaged Alice about
Like at this point, like everything he says, you know, is a lie because he's lied so much that there's no point of even bothering trying to count, like to actually looking at what he's saying moving forward. That's literally what it is.
her assaulting me on Facebook after she had posted TikToks calling me an abuser and lied that I was on Clare's law and under a police investigation.
You are probably on Clare's law.
I questioned why Alice was doing this when she had been physically assaulting me throughout our relationship. I told her because of this, I would have to defend myself because of the accusations she had posted publicly. This is when Alice threatened to sue me for suggesting that she had slapped me, which she later admitted to in her document. I messaged Alice about the time she had kicked me, which had led to me sleeping on the sofa and staying away from her to stop her from assaulting me. I retold this story on messages, and Alice replied saying she didn't just start kicking me randomly for no reason. Alice admits in these messages that she was kicking me because I had refused to put my shirt on, which is her reason for assaulting me. Alice responded with, "Yeah, that's pretty stupid," in response to me refusing to put my shirt on. This is because I had a skin condition that Alice was aware of. I said it was stupid at the time because I regretted not just doing as Alice had asked, as it would have avoided her assaulting me, and we wouldn't have ended up arguing. We had also texted about this exact situation. I told Alice I didn't want to upset her as she was angry that I no longer would share a bed with her anymore because she had been kicking me and calling me fat because I had told her that I couldn't sleep with a shirt on because of my illness. I have had a skin condition since 2021 that was brought on by stress. This skin
Wow, you look really fat.
condition would cause me to have full body itching episodes when I was touched, pushed, or hit, and it made it very hard for me to sleep. I was told by my doctor to try and avoid stressful situations and to stay dry and avoid warmth as it was seemingly making it worse. This is why I would sleep with no shirt on. When we first started dating, it was minimal, around the stomach area, but a few months into our relationship, it had spread to my entire body. Throughout my time with Alice, it got worse, and the stress of our relationship and other issues I was having at the time were having a huge effect on me, and Alice was aware of this. Originally, she seemed supportive, but it
Don't worry, I'll help you. It's just a cream you have to use. Yeah, no medicine things. Okay, cool.
quickly became something that she would use to hurt me. Alice started by calling me
You fat fuck. She called you a fat monkey and then the R slur. It's kind of funny.
fat in text and in person, and
I don't care.
this was because she wanted me to keep my shirt on because she did not like my illness and she didn't want to see it or be around it. We were
She probably said these things after you abused her and she was just trying to hurt your feelings, so.
in bed together, and Alice told me when I took my shirt off that if I was going to do that, then she wanted me to sleep downstairs. I told
Yes.
Alice I wasn't going to do that because I wanted to sleep in our bed that night, and she complained that I spent too much time away from her. This angered Alice, and she called me names. I ignored her and turned away so I could
Oh, that's so sad.
go to sleep. Alice turned around in bed and kicked me in my lower back, and I told her to fuck off,
Okay.
and then she kicked me even harder, and then started to donkey kick me in my neck and in the back of my head.
What is a donkey kick? What does that even mean? I know a donkey punch.
Alice had done this so hard that I fell out of the bed while she was still kicking me. I proceeded to get incredibly angry, and I shouted at her.
Yeah, but do you have any text message proof of that day of you guys having a discussion about her supposed abuse to you? Like, you need that, bud. That's what you told us.
And I insulted her, and this is something that I deeply regret doing. When I messaged Alice about this on Facebook, she said that she didn't just start kicking me hard. The argument had got worse, and we both started insulting each other. Alice then pushed me and tried to hit me. This is when I grabbed Alice by the arms and I pulled her to the floor. This is the only time that I tried to defend myself after Alice had tried to attack me after kicking me in the back of the head. Alice says in the messages that she didn't do it for no reason, and she believed
Maybe
that
that's
I
why he's so fucking stupid. Do you guys ever think of that?
used to sleep downstairs without my shirt on, that made it acceptable to kick me because I had refused to do what Alice had asked. Alice has also written in a document that I had accused her of hitting me when we were in bed.
Just be clear, like, I'm not, there's no reason to really look at what he's saying anymore, because he's lied so many times in this that I want to listen to what he has to say. Nothing else matters. He's not a trustworthy source of information, so.
Bed because I was talking to our cat, and Alice has put this story last in her document. Alice says that this story about the cat is a lie and that it didn't happen, and wrote this. At this point, he's trying to use a situation with that cat and manipulate the story.
That
I
fat
can show
cat.
what really happened here. Alice has shown 5 screenshots of this conversation and has portrayed it as the whole story. Alice does not show the hundreds of texts where she admits to getting physical and trying to hurt me whilst also downplaying the seriousness of a physical attacks on me whilst justifying them. This was purposely hidden, as it would show that Alice was physically abusing me, which is why she shows this screenshot and has cut off the first part of the conversation where I'd asked Alice why she tried to hit me, in which she belittles and insults me for suggesting that she had assaulted me, even though she admits to getting physical in the text that she did not show. Alice then went on to write this. I had told him to stop saying weird things to the cat. He was joking about taking him away, and why would I let someone who told me they'd break my cat's neck near my cat? This was an argument around
Base alert.
mine, so there is no texts. This is not true at all, and not how this took place, which will be shown in these text messages. For context before I read them, me and Alice were in bed together when our cat Bear entered the room, jumped onto the bed and sat on my chest. I began talking to the cat in a silly voice, and Alice was laughing with me. I was jokingly saying I was going to eat him if he got any closer, and it was very apparent that I did not mean this literally, and that I was in fact joking, as we had done together throughout our relationship. Alice
We used to joke in our relationship. We were a little different from other couples. We would have some silly jokes here and there. We were a little bit fun.
even acknowledges that I was joking in her document at the time. Alice said this in her document. He then goes on to say, I have punched him in the face over the cat. This is the Lulu Island we're on now, because he's trying to grab onto anything he can to create his story. This didn't happen, and I couldn't tell you where he cooked this up from. This is from an argument where he was being horrible, had the cat in his arms, and came up to me making jokes about taking him away. Alex was in my face all over me doing this, so I pushed him off of me. I got this story from our own texts that Alice has left out of her document. It is not something that I had cooked up, and I'm not creating my own story, as there were hundreds of texts of me complaining when it happened that Alice doesn't show, which I will read for full clarity. Alice admits that I was making jokes in her document, but then says I was being horrible, which is untrue and completely contradictory.
Did you say you're going to read the whole thing for full clarity?
Creating my own story, as there were hundreds of texts of me complaining when it happened that Alice doesn't show, which I will read for full clarity. Alice admits that I was making jokes in her document, but
You're not reading it. He then goes on to say, I haven't put, okay.
then says I was being horrible, which is untrue and completely contradictory to what Alice had written, where she fully admits that I was joking at the time. Alice calls me delusional and says I'm on Delulu Island for thinking that Alice had physically assaulted me for joking about the cat, but has written in her own document that she did push me,
Okay.
but it was because of me making these jokes about the cat. Alice texted me saying she hadn't hit me, and this was after I'd accused her of punching me in our bedroom in person, and then I had walked away. Before I left, I asked Alice to pack her things and leave, as I was not comfortable with being hit in our relationship, and this was not the
I swear to God, this guy made this so long so that you would tune out of this. This is so fucking stupid.
first time that Alice had hit me. At first, Alice completely denied even trying to hit me at all, and then responded with her reason for why she got physical with me, as it was due to me saying I was going to take the cat away as a joke. I was incredibly thrown off by this, as it was minutes after Alice had assaulted me. Alice began to gaslight me over text and tried to get me to think that this had never happened, and that
Peppered.
I was overreacting. Alice didn't apologise for getting physical, but instead doubled down on why she'd assaulted me. Alice hadn't told me she didn't like the way I was joking around before she assaulted me. We were in bed laughing, so I thought it was fine and just a normal interaction. Alice calls me mental and mocks me with laughing crying emojis for trying
Probably because you're mental.
to discuss why she had assaulted me. I made it clear in the text that I did not push Alice or get physical when I was upset with her, and that I was tired of her doing this to me, to which Alice responded by agreeing and saying, yeah, after you've been a bellend. Alice ignored
Okay.
her assaulting me is the reason this argument has started, and has cut it out of her document to make it seem like I was being horrible and that she had reacted to me, and not that she had hit me and insulted me, to which I responded by asking her to leave the house and leaving the room. This is why Alice at no point is specific about what I said that was actually horrible. She just references the joke I made about taking the cat away. This is because I wasn't being horrible, and Alice is misrepresenting the situation intentionally by hiding these texts that showed what really took place. Alice again acknowledges in texts that I was joking, and that I was not being serious at any point, and that she was aware of this the entire time this argument was taking place. This contradicts what Alice has said in her document, where she claims that I was being horrible, as Alice knew the whole time I was was joking, as shown by these messages, minutes after the actual event had happened.
We get it. He's going to keep saying the same thing over and over again and showing the same messages. We get it.
I told Alice I didn't like her getting physical with me, as it would happen a lot, and I was often ignored when I tried to talk about it. When I would ask why, Alice would stonewall me, or would tell me that I was overreacting when I complained about things becoming physical. Alice would not talk to me or tell me she was getting upset before she resorted to physically assaulting me. Alice tried to take the conversation away from it being about physical abuse, and said that I was asking her to leave because she didn't laugh. I asked Alice to leave because she had attacked me without warning, instead of talking to me, and Alice knew this, as I made it clear in person and on the text conversation that we were having. But Alice was trying to change the reason I wanted to break up to make me look like I'd overreacted to her misunderstanding a joke, and not because I believed that she had assaulted me. Alice says, because I didn't laugh, because I pushed you off. Once again showing that Alice clearly knew that she had been physical with me, and then mocked me and belittled me for it, even though she had started by calling me delusional for even suggesting that she had been and that this had taken place. Alice still calls me delusional to this day for believing this even took place, and says I'm on Delulu Island in her document. I asked Alice to stay away from me, and she
How many times is he going to say the same fucking thing?
called me mental again. I told Alice that I would stay away from her because she hadn't stopped assaulting me, as I felt this was my only option that I had left. I complained again that I needed Alice to leave. I felt I was being intentionally pushed to my limits, and I'd reached the point where I was afraid to interact with our cat or Alice out of fear of being assaulted, as it had been going on for months at this point. Alice calls me delusional again, and blamed me, saying that this was my decision when I had asked her to leave the house. But I wouldn't have asked Alice to leave if she hadn't have assaulted me. I had let the physical abuse towards me become normalized for reasons that I will go on to later in this video. But I had reached a point where I couldn't deal with it anymore, and felt there was no excuses to justify this situation, as it seemed Alice now believed that me wanting to leave because of this was an overreaction. Our relationship was incredibly toxic, and it affected us both severely, and I felt that we needed to be apart as things were getting worse. Alice says that I was horrible to her to justify the continued physical assaults on me, even though she had started this fight because I was joking, and had tried to hurt me to get me to stop. But to claim that this behaviour was exclusively one-sided is untrue, and does not justify resorting to physically assaulting me because of a joke. Alice then mentions I had said something to her the other day when her brother was over, and this story is actually in Alice's document. This wasn't the first time where Alice had treated me this way over the cat, but it was becoming a daily occurrence throughout our relationship. There are so many cases where I end up taking Bear into another room, saying that taking the cat off him is starting an argument when I only did it after he said weird things to him. Acts like a child had his toy taken away when realistically, I was uncomfortable with him being near my cat after saying what he does. Alice says that I acted like a child had his toys taken away, and that I complained that taking the cat off me is starting an argument. Alice then says I said weird things to him, and that's why she had taken him away. I was upset with Alice because, like in these texts where Alice justified assaulting me for talking to the cat and making jokes, Alice would use the cat as an excuse to assault me. I had broken down on a few occasions due to this, and I'd gone to Alice and spoken to her about this.
He said that she abused the cat to make okay.
Because as she says in her document, she was constantly taking the cat away from me, and I felt that this was done to get a rise out of me, as she knew that it upset me. Alice knew that I cared for the cat, but constantly referred to me being affectionate with the cat and talking to him as weird when I had asked why she'd taken him away, or pushed me and left the room. Alice messaged me that she realised I cared for the cat after we had broken up, but had still gone on to portray me being affectionate with the cat as a justifiable reason to physically assault me, which is why she had kept things intentionally vague when describing me talking to the cat as weird, and has cropped these texts.
Why is he saying everything over and over again? It's like a Papa Gun video.
As Alice knew I was doing nothing out of the ordinary when it came to me and the cat. Alice says in her document that I was acting like a child because of this. I had asked Alice many times to stop hurting me for being affectionate and talking with the cat, like I am doing in these text messages. I had broken down crying in front of Alice, which is why she says I'm acting like a child. Alice makes it seem like I was overreacting to something small, and not that I was deeply affected by being assaulted and mocked constantly for talking to the cat and various other issues in our relationship. This is why Alice has intentionally hidden these text messages that show why I was so upset, so she could misrepresent my complaints as childish and unreasonable, even though she admits to doing this on many occasions. It was affecting me severely trying to deal with the gaslighting and manipulation, as well as the physical abuse while sharing a house together. And to read that my breakdowns have been described as acting like a child who had his toy taken away shows that Alice was aware that it affected me and is even now still insulting me and mocking me for pushing me to my breaking point. In the text messages, Alice continued to blame her hitting me on how I had reacted previously to the constant abuse I was under to justify her continuing to hurt me physically for things like jokes or talking to the cat. If Alice didn't have a reason for why she'd hit me, she would say it was because I'd done something previously to deserve it, like in these messages. Alice says she pushed me away because it was my fault, and all I do is call her names. But that is not at all what happened or how this argument took place. I would get upset after I was pushed, slapped or punched. I was horrible to Alice on many occasions, and I deeply regret this behaviour, and nothing will justify that. But the order in which these events have been portrayed as false, as Alice is once again ignoring that she had tried to hurt me when I was just talking with our cat. I was upset and frustrated.
I'm sorry. In this fucking insane, obnoxious rambling, did he just admit that he used to be horrible to her? So, I'm sorry. Basically, you just went on a whole 20-minute yap session about how she kicked you or something, and she was mean over just a joke. And then you admit that you used to be horrible to her, and so what you're doing is you're effectively just admitting to us that, like, this is reactive abuse. Okay, crazy. Crazy. Holy fuck.
That Alice hadn't apologised for getting physical with me, and I lashed out at Alice over text, which I regret. I told Alice that this isn't what I signed up for in a relationship, and it was hard for me to follow if Alice was upset when we had been totally fine, and then suddenly she had hit me. Alice then says that I had dragged her in an argument and that I had shouted at her. I ignore this in the text messages as it was untrue, and I've covered this in this video already. Alice says I said weird shit, so she pushed me off and then told me to grow up and to cry because I was upset that she got physical with me. I pointed out that it was really strange to me that Alice knew that I was joking around with her, but was
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's just fucking, he's like filibustering. He's just yapping for hours. Like, I think that's the tactic. I think the tactic is to lie confidently and then talk for so long that people will get bored. I'm honestly not even kidding. I think that that's like the legitimate tactic here.
Still treating me like it was okay to assault me, and that I should go and cry about her physically assaulting me. Alice then says that I was actually provoking her on purpose because I knew she didn't like it when I talked to the cat. We lived together, and the cat was ours, and creating rules like saying I can't talk to him because she was annoyed at me is unfair and unreasonable. I went on to tell Alice that I was tired of being hit for just being myself. I thought we were having fun, but now I didn't know if I would be punched or pushed.
I was tired of being hit for being myself. What a fucking after-school special over here. Holy moly.
For just joking around, and because of this I wanted to break up, as it was clear that our relationship was not working, and we could not be together if issues this small would lead to physical violence. Alice then said she knew that I wasn't being serious, to which I told her that she shouldn't hit me. Alice then denied hitting me. I did not expect Alice to admit it, as I become used to Alice completely downplaying and excusing being physically abusive in our relationship and mocking me whilst continuing to call me delusional. As shown in this video, Alice has lied and hidden physically abusing me on multiple different occasions, like she's doing here in these text messages. I then told Alice I had to stop the conversation as I was really struggling with being gaslit about what happened and then being insulted. This would cause me to get very upset, and I would struggle massively when Alice would tell me that I was making everything up. Alice then proceeds to insult me again, and then mentions that I had insulted her. I fully admit that I used horrible language, but as you could see, Alice would insult me too, but would only focus on my behaviour and would completely ignore her own. I said,
yeah, because you're the one that started it. We watched a video of you yelling at her and like being absolutely horrible to her. Why the fuck do I care about any reactive shit?
To Alice, I was tired of her ruining normal interactions by getting annoyed with me. I felt that Alice was intentionally making excuses to justify hurting me, and that this had happened since we very first began dating, as I mentioned in these texts.
Wow, cool.
We continued to talk, and then I proceeded to ask Alice to leave again, because I felt that she was trying to antagonize me. Alice said she didn't respect me, and that was why she was treating me this way. Once I realized this wasn't going to be resolved, as the conversation had just become Alice insulting me further and trying to gaslight me, I told Alice I had to go back to work, as I had been in an ongoing battle to retrieve the money my YouTube channel had owed from my YouTube network, as it had been taken away from me, and they had stopped paying me at the time. Alice knew that I had been in a battle with my network for tens of thousands of pounds, as it had been withheld from me for months.
Whoa, is that why you're so fat?
And I had no income stream because of this, as they were continuing to take future payments from me. I was still paying for every expense in our house and using my savings, as I was the only person working at the time. Alice says I took my equipment away from her, but that was because I was using it to make videos and to try and continue working so I could afford to support us and the cat. Alice then
watched him like berate her for not doing YouTube the right way. Why the fuck would you believe anything that you're saying right now?
Says she pushed me because I was in her face. This is a complete lie, as I was laying down flat on my back in bed with the cat on my chest, and Alice moved towards me and pushed me. This shocked me.
She's actually the abuser. Oh my god.
And I started to feel extremely worried about how Alice had began to push the narrative. I somehow had gone from telling a joke about the cat to now being in Alice's face. Not only did Alice then downplay how hard she hit me, she began to rewrite the story of me being at fault over text. Said to Alice I didn't think
here's the problem. Women can't write. They're illiterate, so
things were going to
that's why we don't teach them how to write correctly.
Get better, and this showed me that our relationship would not improve, to which I again asked if we could end our relationship. Alice said that I had flaws, and she is correct. I tried to work through them when we were together, but I felt like the line had to be drawn somewhere before things got worse, which they did. I did not want the way we had treated each other to be an ongoing excuse to allow things to continue to get worse. If we couldn't find solutions, I believed it was right to break up, as the ongoing abuse was not something that should continue. Alice then continued to say that she doesn't respect me after I told her that I had been working harder despite the financial issues I was having at the time. Alice then told me to come here and say it to her face when I said that I wanted her to leave. At this point, I was annoyed, and I told Alice to get out again and to leave the house, and she was actively trying to escalate the situation by trying to start an argument with me in person and being aggressive over text. Alice continued to antagonize me, and then mocked me for not working a 9 to 5. This would happen when I complained about how stressed I was that I hadn't been paid, and it was becoming a huge struggle trying to provide for 2 people and the cat. Alice then accuses me again of kicking her out because she didn't like my joke. At this point, I started to get increasingly more upset, as this had been going on for hours now. Whenever I brought up any issues, I would be gaslit and constantly misrepresented. This is something I really struggled to deal with. Alice tried to make me feel like my reasons for wanting to break up were stupid, and that I was over-emotional and overreacting. Alice then proceeded to mock me again when I started listing reasons why.
Wow, more mocking, huh? Lots of mocking. I didn't hear you clearly. Then swallow that and come to joke with you, and you fuck me off like that. I didn't hear you, idiot. I'm fucking tired. I haven't been paid. You said something weird. I'm owed 75 fucking grand, and I have another 70K in taxes to pay. Okay, and you're stressing me out over small shit, mental shit. It's so like, oh, cute. So this is another one of those too. Okay. Oh.
I can no longer put up with the constant fighting in our relationship. I said to Alice I was totally fine before she had pushed me. I was not taking anything out on Alice, as Alice was the one who had antagonized.
Guys, the videos are deepfake. Do not believe them.
And laid hands on me. Alice would then take my reaction and claim that I'd started the fight or the argument, like she's done in her document and on these text messages, even though she assaulted me. Alice then proceeded to repeat again that I wanted her to leave and break up, not due to the physical abuse, but in fact because she didn't laugh at my jokes with the cat, which is completely misrepresenting my actual feelings again. Alice then says, bro dumped me, kicked me out, and then asked to talk and calls me an idiot. Alice ignores that she had physically assaulted me and verbally berated me on text the entire time, and I had tried to talk about it properly multiple times without fighting. At this point, I then snap at Alice and I insult her, and then the conversation continues to get worse.
We're getting yap abused.
Decided to talk in person about it, but Alice continued to antagonize me when I said we should talk normally and not be angry and shout at each other. Alice then tells me that I need to try my best. Alice then refused to talk in my office and instead made me go to her. When I went into our bedroom and asked what could be done to prevent this from happening again, Alice told me that
who cares?
I would have to get used to her hitting me if I continued to speak to the cat. I told her
what?
That was instead done to prevent this from happening again.
You walked away. You said to move out. Didn't even have anything to say for yourself. That I'm stupid. You're telling me to leave the house. Why the fuck would I stay and talk? Because you literally said you're just going to keep on doing it. You're telling me you're not going to interact with me. I brought up so you can say you'll be more aware, and you just said, nah. You're reusing. We can't be together. What is happening here? You're saying move out. They're having a fight. She's about to leave, and then he won't let her leave. Come talk. I'm being serious, and I don't mean shouting. I mean talk like normal. I'm not in the mood. Try your best. Come here. I'm not standing in your office. I'd like to get somewhere tonight so I can work. You're mental. Over the fucking cat. You're mental. You said move out. This is so stupid. I don't fucking care.
Refused to talk, get used to her hitting me if I continue to speak to the cat. I told her that was
It doesn't seem like that's what she's saying, but okay.
insane, and that continuing to hit me as an answer was stupid.
But you're the honest guy. You're the honest guy. So.
And if that is really all she's going to continue saying, I no longer wanted to be in a relationship together. Alice then left the room. I instantly regretted calling Alice stupid, as it was childish of me to resort to insults, but I was incredibly taken aback and upset at this even being a suggestion that I would have to get used to Alice hitting me if I didn't change the way I interact with the cat for her. I then politely asked Alice over text to go somewhere else that night.
I politely asked her.
As it was clear that we couldn't communicate with each other without arguing. Alice then says that I said that we can't interact with each other and that I was suggesting that we can't be together, which clearly upset her. I honestly and openly explained to Alice.
But you were the one in this that was like, oh, wait, no. You were the one that was trying to. She kept saying she was going to leave and you didn't want her to leave. So what the fuck are you talking about?
That if she believed that physical violence was the answer, that our relationship was beyond saving, unless she felt she could find other ways to deal with these issues, which she told me that she couldn't. Alice told me she wouldn't change her behaviour. I felt this was enough of a reason for me to ask Alice to leave, as I didn't want to constantly worry about being hit again. Alice proceeds to mock me and call me a mental case, and then says that she is just doing what I had told her to do. Alice continued to argue with me and called me butthurt in text messages. I was incredibly upset with how this had
Butthurt.
been handled. Alice again makes it seem like what I'm asking for was unreasonable, and says sorry for doubling down, for pushing you off with a question mark. As you can see, Alice showed 5 carefully picked screenshots of our text messages to convince people that this is an entirely different story than to the reality of what had happened at the time. This was not the only ongoing issue surrounding the cat, and Alice wrote in her document that she didn't want me near Bear because I would call him mine, and she capitalized this. Alice would shout at me and get physical with me when I said the cat was ours. I never said to anyone that the cat was mine. We were a couple who had brought him together and lived together, so I believed that it was our cat. Alice had paid the £50 deposit for Bear and asked me to pay the remaining £200 so that we could get him. I believed this meant that he was our cat, as we had both paid for him and we were moving in with each other.
Well, you were probably hitting the cat. Like, I wouldn't doubt, based on the way that this person interacts, that he would hit a cat. Like, I wouldn't doubt it.
Then posted him on my Instagram story after we had gone to get him together. Alice got upset at me and told me that she hated that people were saying congratulations to me and calling him mine in my comments, so I removed the posts. Even after me and Alice moved in with each other, I was not allowed to do anything with the cat, as Alice had made it clear, like she has in this document, that he did not belong to me. And this led to her pushing and slapping me for interacting with him or treating him like he belonged to us both when we were living together. Alice has tried to hide that she had been physically and verbally abusing me, would gaslight me, and that she would even attack me to paint her abuse as purely reactionary, which is not the case. Alice never shows I was reacting to constant abuse at any point to make it seem like I would react terribly for no reason. I struggled massively with the constant mental and physical abuse that I faced throughout our relationship.
Constant mental and physical abuse. That's crazy.
And it had affected me severely to be in this situation constantly, as our arguments would devolve into name-calling and pulling each other down. I'm ashamed when I read these texts back of how I behave when we would argue. To resort to insults is unacceptable, and it was never okay for me to make personal jabs at Alice. Alice had found out that I had told my friends about the physical abuse because I had leaked my messages to her, and because of this, Alice claimed I was making up a contradictory story to hers to release publicly on my own accord. She does not mention that I was responding to lies that I'm a convicted abuser that she had posted on her TikTok publicly, and that she had been going through and following my friends. I was responding to lies that I'm
Hopefully they'll know how to check Claire's law. So again, Claire's law doesn't mean that you are a convicted abuser. You don't have to be a convicted abuser to be on Claire's law. So he knows he's lying about this.
A convicted abuser that she had posted on her TikTok publicly, and that she had been going through and following my friends months after we had broken up, trying to get their attention to spread this lie, which ended up with my friends asking me to explain this to them after seeing the TikToks that Alice was posting online. I was reacting
So I waited 9 months to do it.
to Alice's public posts and lies about me, but Alice has hidden that she was constantly harassing me to make it seem like I'd gone out of my way to talk badly about her for no reason, when in reality Alice was trying to isolate me and antagonizing me into responding to her for months. When Alice had received the messages from my friends, she accused me of lying. Alice said if I told people she hit me in our relationship that she would sue me, even though I was sharing privately that her posts alleging that I was a convicted criminal were untrue. Alice then proceeded to admit to hitting me during our relationship in the same conversation where she threatened to sue me for telling people that she had been hitting me. Damn. Alice then excused this behaviour by telling me it's okay for women to hit men if they are being an arsehole.
Oh,
Alice,
he's just showing the same text messages over and over again. I thought like this. Oh, look, a new message. Oh, just kidding. Not new. It wasn't a new message.
mocked me for complaining about the physical abuse, as she believed it was justified, and then told me that if I wanted it to stop, I should make a public apology towards her. Alice told me if she wanted to expose me publicly that she would have posted a document about me. I later found out when my ex-girlfriend Jess messaged me that Alice had told Jess that she had been building a folder on me since January. Alice
Whoa, she's building a folder on her abuser? Who would have ever thought?
had stayed in contact with me for months where she antagonized
Whoa, who just farted? It was me. I did the fart.
me, threatened me, and continued to mentally abuse me so that she could knowingly put my reactions into her document that she had started building in January. Alice said that it wasn't like she had named me in these posts or made a video about me, but she had responded and deleted comments on videos she posted saying it was about me and that I was on Clare's law, which again is a lie. My friends saw the TikToks Alice had
Oh, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But you keep lying about how you have to be convicted to be part of Claire's law, so it's kind of makes this a little difficult for us to, realize. Oh, I put that down too late.
I've been posting online, and she had gone through and followed them all after our breakup. Me and my friends had a call where I answered questions about my relationship, and I told my side of the story where I explained that Alice had been physically abusing me throughout our relationship. I made it clear that I did not believe that this was an excuse for my behaviour, and that our relationship was toxic,
My
and it was not good for
behaviour.
either of us, and that I was ashamed of how I had behaved. A friend of mine at the time,
I'm ashamed of it, but just because it was a little toxic, not because I would shout at her. Nothing to do with me shouting at her. That part, that's not even true, dude.
a YouTuber who goes by the name of iNabber, had messaged me in our group chat encouraging me to share more
iNabber.
stories and all the evidence I
I know who iNibbler is, dude. That guy's iNibblers. I know him.
had of Alice's abuse. He told me I could trust him, and that because we were friends, that they weren't going to share any of it anywhere, and that it would remain private after I made it clear that I was worried that it would be leaked. Alice messaged
Damn, and then he realized, oh wait, this person's actually like a legitimate threat. Oh, fuck.
me with direct screenshots from the private conversation that I had had with iNabber and my friends. Alice had been sent screenshots from our private conversation, and it was clear that if I talked to anyone, she would know as she was following as many of my friends as possible. Alice said I shouldn't be lying about her hitting me, and that she would sue me. As I've already covered in these texts earlier in this video, she then went on to admit to hitting me in these messages and in her document. Alice made it clear to me that I couldn't talk to anyone about what I had experienced, and she was now contacting all my friends and isolating me completely, which is exactly what I feared she would do, as she had made it clear that there was nobody I could talk to who she couldn't reach, and she was sending me my own conversations so that I would know that I couldn't get away from her or talk about what happened with anyone, including my friends, as they were going to leak my messages to her. When Alice's document was posted, iNabber posted various stories and a document about me that contains many statements that are false. iNabber had messaged YouTube commentary channels after our conversation where I privately entrusted him with my abuse story, even though he told me that what I shared with him would remain private. According to the YouTuber Samuel, iNabber told him that I had
Oh man, Samuel, Jesus, I can't believe this guy Sam Dezule. You know what I'm saying, dude? It's crazy.
refused to answer any of his questions despite us having an hour call and there being various messages and a conversation disproving this, as it was leaked directly to Alice.
Hey, I just thought I'd come in to say that I've spoke to Alice, the ex of Alex, and I've also spoke to iNabber. According to iNabber as well, Alex has sort of ignored people, like ignored everybody, sort of gone into like a recluse, not messaging anyone back, not even messaging iNabber back about their podcast that recently failed. Nothing like that.
I was incredibly confused as I did not understand why these people had been told lies about what happened when Fraser had told me that I could trust him with talking to him about the abuse I had gone through and that it would remain between us because we were friends. iNabber posted on his Instagram story that I had refused to talk about this and has shared messages of him discussing my relationship with other people. He says, but the man never wanted to discuss it with us ever. I had spoken to Fraser on a few occasions.
But didn't he? I don't understand. Didn't you say that you didn't want him to come forward about it? Like, I don't understand.
About how I was struggling with Alice and how it was upsetting me, which directly contradicts what Fraser has posted publicly on his Instagram stories. Fraser wrote, we thought they were still together or seeing each other, lol, and that he suspected that we kept breaking up. After I finally felt like I could talk about this when I believed Alice had left me alone, I opened up to him that the last 4 months had been very hard for me. Fraser never shows him asking me about Alice or any of my messages to him, as it would show that he was lying, as I was the one who had tried to arrange a call with him privately after I had been confiding in him with the issues I had had surrounding Alice. Fraser wrote, the dude never discussed personal stuff with us, lol, solely just YouTube and games. But Alice had full access to my phone when we were together and was threatening me after our breakup if I mentioned anything to anyone, like she has done after these messages I had with Fraser were leaked. And I did open up fully and honestly about what had been going on for that year when I asked him to call, and in the messages that he has cropped out. I had asked him to call multiple times, and I had told him that I was free to speak to him whenever. I tried to arrange multiple calls to talk about the situation, as you can see in these messages on Facebook. I was willing to answer questions even after my messages had been leaked. In the live stream, Samuel says that I was a recluse, but I went home because Fraser had told me that I should go see my parents and that I should take time off from the internet. To say I didn't attempt to talk to him about this is a barefaced lie. I understand him not wanting to be involved. I am not his responsibility, and he should not have to answer for my own personal problems just because we were once friends. However, what has been posted publicly is not true, and therefore I believe it is only right that I correct this. Fraser has intentionally cropped our messages that he posted on his Instagram story to portray a version of events which is not true. Since the conversation me and Fraser had, where I made it very clear.
Okay, so this is just a conversation between the two of them, the two guys, iNabber and him. And iNabber's like, yeah, I think you should post the text messages that you mentioned the other day that apparently would prove his innocence. And ImAllexx goes, I'm genuinely terrified that if I post something, she's going to come back and be even worse. So basically, as he's sitting here trying to morally chastise iNabber, he's showing us a text message that's like him giving a sob story to iNabber, and then iNabber saying like, "Hey, listen, you said you had like a text that would prove your innocence. Why don't you just like post that?" And he's like, "I'm afraid to because he knows that that's not actually what it is, and he knows he's lying. This is a big nothing."
Clear in the messages that I had been at fault. Fraser has lied that I tried to claim that I was a victim. In reality, I explained that it was complicated and that I had been at fault, and that our relationship was very different from what Alice had posted publicly that they had seen. In a document iNabber posted responding to allegations that were made against him by his ex-girlfriend Kirsty, iNabber made a series of comments about me. Fraser claims that I am a widely disliked content creator.
I dislike you, and I'm pretty fucking wide.
and I have been since 2019, and that he only remained friends with me because he is a loyal person. I find this rather odd, as Fraser told me that I could trust him, and that he wouldn't talk to anyone, and then spoke to strangers with YouTube channels that interviewed him, and then shared what he'd said about me publicly.
Oh no!
Fraser goes on to then downplay our friendship, as Kirst accuses him of openly admitting to her that he was only ever friends with me so he could use me to further his career, as he benefited from me. I would
Shit, I don't care.
like to make it clear for context that I didn't know Kirst personally, and I only ever met her on one occasion. To make posts where she acts like she knew me in any way, shape, or form personally is odd when our paths only crossed on one occasion. Fraser denies this by claiming
Did your streams cross paths too?
my YouTube channel has been on a decline since 2019, and that I am no longer relevant.
Damn.
Mentioning that I was a widely disliked content creator.
That makes sense because he doesn't really make any meaningful content. It's pretty much that. It's just a regular like shitting and coming and farting. You know what I mean?
So it couldn't be possible that he was using me. For someone who apparently wasn't using me, iNabber seems to have a lot of knowledge about my relevancy in YouTube statistics over a 5-year period, as shown in his statement. Fraser claims that I was always disliked, and that he was seen as an idiot for being friends with me, and then he wrote this in this paragraph. As you can see, this allegation is really strange to me. Yes, I regret being friends with Alex, but the suggestion I benefited with him is actually quite wild to me, considering it was a public thing of how disliked he was. I actually was seen as a bit of an idiot for remaining friends with him, and truthfully that's a fair criticism. These statements confused me as Fraser asked me personally if I wanted to start a podcast with him. I said yes because I believe that we were friends, and that he was asking me because we had been for years, as we had spent a lot of time together.
Aw, friends.
Fraser writes in his document that we only saw each other walking his dog for the most part, and in mid-2023 we started gaming a lot more together and speaking way more than we usually did, and that obviously led to us making a podcast that lasted 4 episodes. October 2023 is around the time I'd moved out of London, and to suggest that we became friends after the fact is disingenuous. We had hung out regularly since we became friends in 2018,
That ingenuous? It was dissoned, just to be clear.
and we used to go on holiday abroad together. We had also kept in contact just as much when I moved away. To portray our friendship as only being a recent thing is just completely untrue. Fraser's statement is also incorrect, as we have actually also done 5 episodes of our podcast instead of the 4 that Fraser wrote in his document.
Oh, Jesus, we're getting a regular old Mudahar here, huh?
Fraser travelled over an hour to visit me a month before Alice posted her TikToks and stayed at my house with friends as I had moved outside of London. In our own podcast, Fraser says that we would talk every day, which is why we decided to start the podcast in the first place.
Wow.
I'm a big fan of podcasts that go on, and I just...
So basically what I'm getting out of this is maybe iNabber lied about how close he was to you because he was embarrassed to be associated with a fucking monster. How do you guys like that?
super casual between friends, and there's like 150 episodes.
But that's why I feel like this isn't going to be like your last ventures, because for one, you've always done it high budget, which is not like a thing to criticize, but it's like this is on Discord, like, and we speak to each other. We speak to each other every day. We're in calls, so like, there's no reason for us. It makes sense. We talk about YouTube all the time. We're always speaking about things going on. It makes sense to just get on camera like once or twice a week and just speak about it.
iNabber, let me tell you something, buddy. If you're listening, if you're watching, you look fucking gay as hell here, bud. Just being silly.
Long form, hour to 2 hour thing.
After our call, Fraser didn't reach out to me at any point. I asked him if he leaked our messages.
Jesus, Frasier. That was a good show. You guys remember that show, Frasier? It's an old show, but...
And then I saw the clip where Samuel claimed that Fraser had told him that I had been avoiding him the entire time, which, as you could see, was at no point true. Fraser posted on his Instagram story that I refused to share the private messages I had with Alice with him, but the reason that I didn't share them is because I was worried that they would be leaked, which is exactly what happened after I spoke to him. Fraser posted that he believed I might sue him for posting these stories, but I have no intention of doing so.
Why? If you're in the right, why don't you sue him? Doesn't that make the most sense?
There'd be no reason to worry if what he posted was actually true. Alice had followed everyone in my friendship circle months after our breakup and was using my friends to gather information on me by posting videos that were intended to get a reaction out of me by falsely claiming that I am a convicted criminal. Alice wanted to find out what I would say to defend myself to my friends so that she could build the document backwards from this to make it look like I was lying.
Dude, she's so manipulative, bro. You should break up with her. This whole video is so stupid.
Alice hadn't continued to harass me privately and publicly, I would never have had to tell my friends that she had been abusing me throughout our relationship, but due to the constant harassment, I was left with no choice. Alice wouldn't only just threaten me privately, but would also threaten me when we went out in public. Alice had threatened to punch me in the street.
You know what's so funny? This is not necessarily funny. It's actually a little scary for me. Sometimes when I'm in public with my wife will do, I swear to God, she does this. She goes, don't hurt me. She does that to me. And it makes me upset because she knows that, like, I'm not doing anything to her. And the reason is because, like, my wife would actually, if I was abusing my wife, you would never, like, know about. Well, she would never tell anybody. She would just stab me in my sleep. But she'll be like, stop hurting me. And she'll do that because she wants to, like, she thinks it's funny. But, like, one day a guy's going to walk up and, like, start a fight with me because she's doing this fucking shit and she's playing goddamn games too much. She thinks it's so goddamn funny. She's such a pain in the ass. It's so fucking stupid.
And then it began shouting at me. I walked away from Alice as soon as she had threatened me, and this is the text conversation that we had as I was walking away from her. I told Alice that she had gone too far by shouting that she would punch
We were having this conversation through text as we were walking away. We're normal.
me in public, because we had had a small disagreement about me visiting her house, as Alice had told me that she was embarrassed, and she thought that I would leave her if I went over and saw her family and where she lived. Alice sent me these messages, and then said that she had done nothing wrong. I told her I didn't know if I wanted to come over anymore, as she had just threatened to hit me in public. Alice had shouted that she was going to hit me so loudly that I got a comment from someone who had seen me walking away after Alice had shouted at document me, which I sent to her on iMessage. Not only did Alice threaten me throughout our relationship, but she also blackmailed me.
Are you telling me that ImAllexx uses iMessage?
Throughout the entire time we were together and afterwards. Alice has written in her document that after our breakup, I begged for her to come back, and I also sent gifts and a letter to convince Alice to get back with me because I wanted her to forgive me. But this is not an accurate version of what had happened, and it is a lot more complicated than Alice has portrayed. She had intentionally lied and left out hundreds of messages and events that do not show the reality of what was actually happening.
I don't care. Like, this is the problem here, is that relationships can be very complicated. And I've been in less than stellar relationships before, where I feel like I was taken advantage of, right? And I know that they're not super simple. I know that I didn't act particularly greatly. And you want to know what? Maybe I was more the problem than I realized. And even though I've been more introspective, you never necessarily fully know. It takes a long time, yada, 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 yada. I can appreciate that. But this is insane. Like, this guy literally screaming that to his girlfriend that she's worthless. And it's like, at a certain point, like, how do we turn around and ignore that? I've never done that before. I've never had conversations with somebody where I was screaming that they were worthless. That's insanity. That's unironically insane. And it's like, how are we supposed to, take your word for this when you're screaming at your partners that they're worthless? I mean, that's actually fucking unhinged.
Alice was continuously blackmailing me and had been abusing me for our entire relationship.
So we could sit here and be like, oh, well, there's blackmail and this and that, and there's a white male, and I don't know, there's fucking 10 males, and there's one girl, and she's standing around, and she's getting cummed all over. I don't know. But I know that, like, the way that he talks to her is disgusting. In a way that is like, that's not reactive abuse. Screaming at a girl, screaming at anybody that they're useless and worthless, telling them that they're going to bash their fucking skull in, that's not reactive abuse. That's just insane. That's fucking insane.
Tried to leave our relationship.
Waiting 9 months and then actively lying about it, showing us a report from a mental health professional that says that he was abusive. Like, what do you do after that point? He literally showed us at the beginning something that was like, yeah, I'm abusive, LOL. Like, he showed that he went to a mental health individual, and they said that he was abusive, like that he reported a history of verbal abuse to the person. Like, what am I supposed to do at this point?
Many points, and Alice has taken this and wrote in her document that I would threaten to break up with her as a form of manipulation. This is not true, and I've shown that I tried to break up with Alice after she physically assaulted me and blackmailed me, and I stayed because she would threaten me if I tried to leave. When I
threaten me, you threaten me!
Told Alice I did not want to be involved with her anymore after we broke up, she began posting online the lie that I had a criminal record and that I was on Clare's law.
Again, you don't have to have a criminal record for that. So...
Alice then started posting TikToks about me, and this led to the situation that she orchestrated when she began to follow all of my friends after we had broken up, so that I couldn't escape her. At one point, Alice told me that she wanted me to plan something soon, and then she said I should make her dinner. This is completely contradictory to the claims Alice has made in her document, where she says she had no interest in talking to me, as in reality, she was emotionally manipulating me and blackmailing me while she was writing a document on me at the same time, trying to dismantle my life. Alice accuses me of being manipulative after our breakup, even though when I tried to end things, Alice threatened to call the police and lie about me if I didn't back down. Alice said that I am the one who asked her to dinner, and I showed her these messages with Alice who asked me, and Alice is constantly
never give up. Never back down, never what?
Accused me of doing the things that she has done in her document. Alice would continually emotionally abuse me and manipulate me whilst threatening me so that she could build her document on me, which she has constantly lied in. Alice complained that after she had moved out, I didn't seem panicked enough and sent me this text message. I moved out. I thought your mind would be more panicked that I won't come back. Alice also sent me text saying she had left because she wanted
that's so spooky.
To know what it's like to be with.
Yeah, there's audio proof of him being abusive. I only showed you in the beginning, like, the videos that he had sent her, or not sent her, that were him on Discord berating her. We didn't even re-go through all the horrible shit that we saw already.
Her. We had many conversations about getting back together, and when I realized I was being emotionally manipulated and blackmailed by Alice, I tried to break it off on multiple occasions. This is when Alice
Guys, I'm the true victim. Incredible.
Began to start posting about me and following friends and making threats. Alice has written in her document that I had refollowed girls I had slept with, and that I had told her I was going to refollow everyone that I had unfollowed for her. Alice had gone through and isolated me from my friends throughout our relationship, and was even stalking me after our breakup. I sent her this message to show that she was no longer in control of me, and could no longer make me stop talking to my friends. Although
oh, you're such a hero! Yay, you're a hero!
We had been broken up for months at this point. Alice was still messaging me about the girls I had followed on Instagram or friends that I had refollowed. Alice sent me this message saying that any girl that I speak to would be ugly anyway, and proceeded to insult them after claiming
I don't care.
Claiming that she hasn't tried to stalk me or try to control me in her document. I refollowed my friends when it became clear to me that I was being manipulated and blackmailed by Alice. This is because Alice had unfollowed them on my phone. I did not follow many girls I had had relations with, and we had not been together for months at this point. Alice has posted texts and videos of me begging for her back and apologizing to her. I understand how irrational my behavior looks, as I was going from one extreme time to another emotionally. I was desperate for any form
Because he's actually the victim.
of solution, as it is clear from the voice notes and videos that Alice has shared that the constant emotional manipulation was having a severe effect on me, and I was saying whatever I thought I had to at the time to end the constant arguing, fighting, and blackmail. Alice would string me along intentionally whilst blackmailing.
I love that. He's making the argument that anytime that he would say something that would basically makes him look bad or do something that makes him look bad, it's because he felt like he had to just to placate her to get it to end because she was so horribly abusive. It's like, wow, what a fucking piece of dog shit.
Me and threatening me if I didn't do exactly as she had asked. She would then tell me to send voice notes apologizing, and she would refuse to call me on the phone after making accusations about me cheating on her or being physically abusive, and threatening to tell people things about me that were not true.
And I did it because I was so scaredy pantsed. Everything's a conspiracy.
Alice had threatened me throughout our relationship, and I did as she asked in the hopes that the constant harassment and lying would eventually stop. I was worried that if I didn't do as she asked, that she would post more lies about me online. I would send Alice voice notes apologizing because I did many things wrong throughout our relationship. I should not have retaliated with the horrific language and insults, and I was deeply ashamed that I had
I
learned
shouldn't have retaliated. Get the fuck out of here.
myself to that type of behavior. I continued to apologize because
If this was actually true and he had actual like proof that it was reactive abuse, then he would have been sitting here being like, fuck her, blah 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 blah.
Alice had began to lie.
This is the only angle he feels like he can work after a year. That's literally all it is. Like the second that, just to be clear, you have to understand something. The second that this whole thing started to go down, that she released all this stuff, he started to go into like crisis mode. He's like, how do I reevaluate? How do I make this turn in my favor? So he took a step back and he went to a mental health counselor to get a diagnosis for BPD because he never had one before, or I don't even know if it was a diagnosis or more of a suggestion. And that's what he did from the start. Like he was using that as like, okay, I have this now. Okay, let's see where we can go next. Okay, that's it. It's all been some kind of a planned game from the start. He's going with the angle he feels like is the most successful, and that's playing the victim.
About me and harassed me after we had broken up. I found out later when my ex-girlfriend Jess contacted me that Alice had told her that she had been planning this document since January, the month that we had broken up. I was already aware that Alice had been planning something when we were together, and she would tell me that she would add stuff to her notes after we had had arguments and fights, and that if I ever broke up with her, she would post what she had on me on Instagram, and that I needed to change my behavior for her to work things out. Me and Alice stayed in contact for months after our breakup, and I told Alice that I was going to get 2 new kittens. Alice said,
It's so funny because I feel like he really could have just, if he actually wanted to do, he could have just been like, he could have done like forgiveness things. He could have been like, oh, I've changed, blah, blah, blah. But instead he went for like the, hey, I'm the victim. Like, what a bad optical play.
if I'm going to get 2 new kittens, I must not be planning on her moving back in. But I was under the impression that we had broken up and that our relationship was over. Alice was still trying to control my life and the decisions I made, using the possibility of us getting back together to control me, as I hoped that if we got back together, that means Alice would no longer blackmail me. I later realized that this was done intentionally so that Alice could use my
But you're saying, it's just so funny, like blackmailing you with what? Your own words? She was going to blackmail you with your own actions? Hey, if you break up with me, I'm going to show people that you were horribly abusive to me? Like, wow, that's fucking crazy.
breakdowns from the stress for her document. Alice also claims I had been harassing her after our breakup, and that I turned up to her house to return items with a letter as proof of this. His entire story she has written is untrue. Alice wrote, he ended up sending things to my house like teddy bears and flowers. His hoodie that
Teddy Fresh
had been sprayed heavily with his aftershave, and a letter to try and achieve this. Alice has made it look like I'd taken it upon myself entirely to send her a letter and a teddy bear, and that I was turning up to her house uninvited without warning to deliver her things. This is a complete lie, as Alice had asked me to send her this letter and teddy bear directly, as shown in these screenshots. Alice sent me a TikTok about writing her a love letter. When I followed up by sending the TikTok to Alice on iMessage, I asked her if this is what she wanted. She said, you do you, I just don't expect it. Alice has not
Whoa, crazy.
included this, as not only does it show that she had asked me to do this, she was also blackmailing me at this time and threatening me when I didn't do as she had asked. I had also asked Alice if it was okay for me to deliver her the items she had left behind, and let her know when I was coming so that it wasn't a surprise to her, because Alice had accused me of stealing her.
What it honestly sounds like, this entire thing, is that they were together and he was a horrible piece of, this is actually what it sounds like to me. And again, honesty would have maybe helped him. It sounds like they were together. He was horrible to her. He would treat her like shit. He would abuse her, probably physically and emotionally, verbally, etc. Afterwards, he probably did experience regret based on it because he was acting emotionally. And so as the relationship went on, he may have unironically maybe tried to work on himself, and maybe he did try to change, and maybe things got a little better from his end, but she had developed so much resentment against him that she couldn't move through it, even though she probably tried to. And that was what probably ended the relationship. And if he had said that, I would have been like, oh, okay. Like if he was like, yeah, you know what? I was horrible to her. And as time went on, we worked through it together. And she was like, yeah, she worked through it with me. And you know what I mean? Like she didn't, and we were trying to get through it. And then I tried to be better. But at that point, like it was so far gone that like she just couldn't get over it. which is understandable. And like, I am a piece of shit. And like, that's why I disappeared for 9 months, because like, I didn't really know what to say, because like, I was a fucking asshole. But like, I really am. And even during the time we were together, I was trying to work on myself and I was trying to change. And like, I just don't really know what else to say. You know, we were together for this long because, you know, we wanted to be together and she wanted to try to work it out with me, but I just did too much damage to her, even though I'm not that person anymore. You see how like he could have done that. And that might be a level of truth to what this is. That might be a level of truth. Because again, I remember being in like relationships where like I wasn't amazing. I mean, I was never this. Just to be clear, gotta be clear, I was never this horrible. But where like I was very emotionally unintelligent and like fucking stupid. And I probably you know, I can steamroll people because I need very firm boundaries being set, or else I'm like, I think that this is the right thing to do. Let's do this with that. And like, if I don't get any input pushback, like I'll just do it. And that might not necessarily be best for our relationship. And I could be a little, you know, these are all things I need from a partner, which like I have my wife, you know, and like so I could kind of get it to a degree of being like kind of a steamroller. But like, we have to admit that. You have to say though, and there might be a level of truth to it, or maybe he's just lying about everything, and he's just a big piece of fucking dog shit. But you know, so far in his narrative, he's just this perpetual victim, and there might be a level of truth to her being more mean towards the end of the relationship because there's so much resentment built up because he was so horrible to her that she couldn't let it go. Okay, like that's human.
Belongings, even though at no point had I ever done anything but offer to return them after she had left. Not only did I want to return Alice's items, but I was tired of Alice accusing me of stealing them when at no point had I planned to keep hold of them. Alice had not asked for them to be returned up until the point of claiming that I had stolen them. Alice has now used the letter that she asked me to write, and the fact that I had delivered her these items as a tool to create a false narrative about me. On top of Alice making requests, it was clear to me that she would continue to threaten and blackmail me if I didn't do exactly as Alice had asked, and accusing me of stealing is just one example of this. Alice has also gone on to accuse me of smashing up her belongings, which is a lie. At no point had I broken anything of Alice's during our relationship, and as you can see from these messages that Alice has left out of her document, she sent me pictures of her monitors a few days after our argument, where Alice had falsely accused me of assaulting her and threatened to report me to the police because I'd asked Alice to stay away from me because I no longer wanted to be in a relationship with her. I told Alice I did not know how this happened, but I offered to pay for new ones to avoid any more arguments, as I was already drained from the constant false accusations, threats, and blackmail. Alice has fabricated a story about me breaking her glass.
This guy really does not like black males, huh?
In her document, which is a lie. Alice used her notes as proof that this had happened, but has invented this story retroactively, as shown by the fact that it had been added after she had moved out.
Is that so funny? Because he retroactively invented the story that he had BPD by going to like a mental health professional to get some kind of a pseudo diagnosis of it that was full of you know, admittance that he was horrible to her. Isn't that so funny?
Specifically for the document. Alice has posted videos of me threatening her in arguments, and firstly I would like to make it clear that it is completely unacceptable under any circumstances that
at first I'd like to make it clear, I don't make threats, I make promises, brothers.
I did this. I said horrific things in these arguments to hurt Alice, and we both said careless things to each other in the hopes that we could annoy the other person and upset them when we started to fight. The language used in our relationship had become deeply normalized, and I'm incredibly ashamed that I contributed to that. I was fully aware at the time that this was completely unacceptable, and nothing makes this behavior okay. Alice has continued to lie about the nature of our conversations. I made this tweet where she denied calling me a dog at any point, which as shown in this text message is a lie.
She called you a dog? Oh, fuck.
Nature of our conversations. I made this tweet where she denied calling me a dog at any point, which as shown in
good dog. Okay, I don't care. Again, so this is after you were calling her a dog in a horribly disrespectful way, and she was like good dog in a way that you're like obedient because you're, you know what I mean? Like, it's just all, I don't care. It's all reactive. I don't give a shit. That's a funny comment. So say this human beans on toast does to motherfucker. That's so silly.
In this text message is a lie. In this thread of tweets made, people accused me of being drunk in these videos, which is untrue, and Alice even corrected this and told people that I did not drink throughout our relationship. Since
What?
Me of being drunk in these videos.
Can I say this again? You read this. He wasn't drunk. He never got drunk at any point in our relationship. What? I'm only confused because he showed us that thing where whatever the mental health counselor thing that he had gotten that said that he in the past would binge drink as a form of self-medication. So it's just, I find that's just strange. I don't know.
Which is untrue, and Alice even corrected this and told people that I did not drink throughout our relationship. Since Alice posted these, she has accused me of controlling behavior in a document and has lied about me many times in these stories that she has shared. Alice accused me of threatening to break up with her for liking followers' tweets, but has left out the singular tweet that she had liked and that we had an entire text conversation about, as it would show that Alice was lying. When she was asked if these tweets were to do with cheating on Twitter, Alice said no and denied this.
Not in the relationship? Oh, okay.
This, once again, is a lie. The entire conversation Alice references here is about cheating, and this is why she doesn't include or show the tweet.
I just have fun. I mean, I guess, did he get over the addiction or whatever? I guess, whatever.
And the hundreds of text messages that prove that that she is lying once again, as she gaslit me and insulted me for hours, and is now trying to make people believe an entirely different story. After our first date, Alice liked a tweet
Well, I
from
don't read, so I don't believe any stories.
a follower that said they could treat her better. As you can see from the screenshot of this conversation, I was not trying to control Alice. I was asking why she had liked a tweet that I felt that was disrespectful, and was telling her it made me uncomfortable when I was trying to resolve the issue. At no point did I tell Alice to unlike fans' tweets, as that was not at all what our conversation was about, and I didn't make any demands or threats like Alice had claimed about her fans. I sent Alice the screenshot of her likes as it came up on my timeline. Alice was instantly dismissive, and then told me that she had done nothing wrong after she had started to ignore my messages. Alice then said she had liked more tweets, and that she didn't care, and said bye to try and end the conversation. Told Alice how it made me feel, and that I didn't like that she wasn't taking how I felt into consideration. Alice told me it wasn't a big deal, and then began to ignore me. This would happen often when I bring up any issues with Alice. She would stonewall me to discourage me of trying to talk about any issues that I had. When I told her
I find this so weird that there's so many of these conversations are through text, because like I'm sure I've had arguments with girls through text, but like for the most part, the majority, like the bulk of your conversations are going to be like in person, no? I just find this like so weird. It's just so I don't know. It's like so immature. Like I understand having text is a good idea, but like it just seems so bizarre. You'd have most of them in the real world. Papa God, have you ever threatened your loved one with bashing them against a brick wall? Unfortunately, no, not quite.
again it was disrespectful, Alice dismissed me. Alice then started telling me 80% of her DMs were people saying that they could treat her right, which didn't make me feel reassured at all. I didn't feel like Alice was trying to help, and I started to feel like Alice intentionally wanted me to feel insecure. Alice says I am the one doing this and not her, and blames me for even bringing it up in the first place, as if I'd started this argument when I was reacting to something that Alice had done that had upset me. Alice would do this often and would turn my reactions into the start point of arguments, totally ignoring what she had done that had upset me. Alice refuses to apologize again and says she had done nothing wrong. I told her it was disrespectful to do something like this publicly, and that I didn't like it. Alice replies sarcastically saying she's sorry she ruins my rep, and asked me what I want from her again. I then told Alice she was clearly trying to avoid saying anything to reassure me, as she'd gone out of her way to do the opposite. Alice then claims she actually did reassure me, and then sarcastically texts me that she won't ruin my rep again. Alice then begins to mock me for wanting her to apologize, and then says sorry for liking a fan's tweet, which is not at all what I had an issue with, as Alice has tried to portray here and in her document. My issue was with the way she would treat me, and now she would have been upset if I had done something similar. Alice has lied again about why I was upset, and has hidden the hundreds of messages of me trying to have a conversation about this, and then has written in her document something that is completely untrue. Alice then tries to make me feel bad for bringing it up, and was adamant that all she had done was reassure me, and I told her that what she had done wasn't enough. Alice then starts to swear at me and insults me. This annoyed me, and I told Alice she can call me when she got back, as texting was clearly not working. And as a couple, I felt that now we needed to call to settle this issue, as it had become way bigger than it needed to be, as I felt Alice was now intentionally trying to upset me.
I don't even know why you guys were fucking texting in the first place. I wonder what the arc is from here. Like, you think he's gonna try to come back and like make comments or make content again? Do you think he's gonna try to make content again, or what do you think he's gonna do next? Go red pill? He's just gonna go red pill?
Alice then says I tried to force an apology out of her, but at this point I was just upset that I felt that I had been forced into asking for one that wasn't genuine after Alice had continued to mock me. Alice then accused me of being the person who was throwing a fit and continues to downplay that I was upset that what I had seen was disrespectful and on some level a form of cheating. Alice says I heard you, to which I respond in detail with why I felt like everything Alice had done was not acceptable or an apology. I felt I was communicating clearly, but Alice mocked me again and said, yes, Dad. I then got upset even more because I felt
Yes, Dad.
I was being belittled and mocked. Alice then sent me another sarcastic apology when I mentioned again how disrespected I had felt. Alice then calls me a baby and tells me she doesn't understand why I was upset at all in the first place. Told Alice I felt she was more concerned with having to say sorry than she was about me being upset, and that her response threw me massively. Alice calls me a child and immature. I admit I could have handled things better from the start, but from reading these conversations back, it's clear to me that no matter what I had done, I was going to be mocked and insulted for bringing up how I felt. I then asked Alice
I
if
could see this guy working at McDonald's, sure.
she wanted to talk on call instead, as I struggle with communicating over text, and I thought that would make it easier. Alice then tells me that she's going to scream at me. Alice continues to insult me and calls me a baby again. I told her that this was not necessary, and I didn't like having to fight with Alice to be taken
Alice is kind of based.
seriously. Alice responded by spamming me with messages. I asked her to stop, to which Alice said that all of this had happened because of how I talked to her, blaming me for the whole argument, and gaslighting me that she had actually been
Probably is true.
reassuring me from the start. I made it clear again the issues I had with the way the conversation unfolded. Alice responded with insulting me again and blaming me for why she tried to belittle me and hurt my feelings. Alice says I did not acknowledge her or her apology, but at no point had Alice apologized to me in these text messages at all in any way. Alice at first tries to gaslight me and questions it being a sarcastic apology. She then says that it's what I wanted to hear, and then proceeds to gaslight me again that I have misinterpreted the entire conversation. I start to get annoyed at this point, as it's clear that Alice is intentionally trying to gaslight me about what had taken place. Alice then proceeded to argue with me and spam me again. Alice begins to gaslight me again to avoid apologizing, and when I tell her to read it from my perspective, she calls me Delulu. I called out Alice for gaslighting
She calls me Delulu.
me, and she replied saying she says it how it is. Alice has gone on to write another story in her document about me, which is completely untrue. Alice writes in her document that after going through my phone, she found pictures of my ex-girlfriends on there, and this once again is a complete lie. Alice says he ended up being secretive over his phone to what I then discovered was him stalking his ex on all social platforms. In brackets, it's been years since they broke up, and found her old NSFW pictures he kept of her. He said
Yeah, that's probably true.
sorry, and that was it. Alice also showed a message that says, it was never an issue before, so why is it now, in regards to going through my phone. This is because I'd refused to give Alice my phone. Alice has created this story and put it
What?
in her why is it now, in regards to going through my phone. This is because I'd refused to give Alice my phone. Alice
That's not like the explanation, right? She's like, hey, how come it's a problem that I can't go through your phone now? And he's like, yeah, the reason is because I said she can't go through my phone. It's like, okay, why? Hot take. If you're in a relationship, you should be able to go through each other's phones. It shouldn't matter. I don't care.
Has created this story and put it in her document, despite saying on Twitter that at no point did I ever cheat, which makes no sense, as that is what she accuses me of doing throughout the entire document. Alice had complete access to my phone and social media from the moment we began dating. And the moment I tried to stop this from happening, Alice got annoyed at me, accused me of cheating, and threatened to break up with me, but has cropped these messages out of her document. Alice had full access to my phone from the moment we began dating, and would come in my room daily.
But didn't you just say that you didn't allow her access to your phone, though? So, what the fuck?
To check on who I'd been talking to. This started the first couple weeks into dating after Alice slapped me because I'd been invited to a party in LA by a TikToker. I didn't respond to the message and showed it to Alice, which resulted in her still being upset at me for being in contact with any female influencers or friends. Alice told me she would only feel better if she could slap me, and if she was allowed to go through my friends list and unfollow and block people, which became a regular occurrence throughout our relationship. Alice forced me to cut contact with many girls I had known for years, and I allowed this because I did not want to be slapped over something that was easily preventable. I thought it would be
okay.
be easier to let Alice have access to my phone than to potentially start a fight that would end up with me being hit or having my phone taken because I would be accused of potentially cheating on Alice, even though I never replied to these messages that I received. In the instance that Alice is referring to, I had refused to give her my phone because I'd reached out to a friend of mine and I told them that Alice had been hitting me, and that I didn't know what to do about it as she had threatened and blackmailed me when I had tried to leave our relationship. Alice had tried to grab my phone out of my hand, which is why she sent me these text messages. Alice would come in my room and take my phone off me on random occasions daily to go through my socials, which she admits to in
Okay, so why would she do that unless you cheated? It's probably because you cheated or something.
this document. I hadn't deleted the messages of my friend,
Probably talking to like your exes or something. I don't care. Like, are you like looking at their shit? Okay.
so I refused to give Alice my phone because I knew if she found out I had told anyone about the abuse, things would get worse. In the text Alice shows in the document, she leaves out that I said she could come and take my phone if she wanted it. Alice then threatens to leave me if I don't let her look at my phone after calling me guilty for holding onto it when she tried to take it out of my hand by force. Alice accused me of cheating and stalking my ex-girlfriends because I would no longer give her access to my phone. On this occasion where I held onto my phone, Alice tried to take it out of my hand and then pushed me when I refused. To make it clear, I at no point had access to Alice's phone and I had never asked for it. For our entire relationship, Alice had full access to my phone, went through my following and text messages, and would threaten me and hit me if I refused to hand over my phone or unfollow people who I knew. If I refused, she would take my phone later that day and unfollow them anyway. Alice
Abusive. She sounds like such a bad guy. Holy moly.
would accuse me of cheating because she knew I would hand her my phone to show her that I hadn't been. I find it incredibly confusing that Alice has accused me of controlling behaviour when Alice has
Why would she need
openly
to say that, though? If she had access to your phone, why would she need to say that in the first place?
admitted in this document to having full access to my phone to the point where she has written a story about me where she was upset that I refused to let her take it off of me as if I was the
Whoa.
abusive one for not letting her have
That's
it. Alice wrote in her
crazy.
document that time passed and small things became huge issues which were over Discord at first. Alex felt that because I am home all day and work from home that I would be able to call 24/7 and completely shut out any other social interactions I have with my friends. To avoid that, I invited him into my groups and I stopped working as much. This is untrue. Alice had told me that she wanted to quit her job as an OnlyFans model. It was her idea and not mine. The arguments about work stemmed from many things. We would both insult each other and belittle each other. Our relationship was horrifically toxic, and none of this
I bet.
is acceptable. Alice had willingly invited me into our friendship circle to play games with her and her friends, and I had invited Alice into mine. Alice would insult me when I was working, and would insult my friends when I would play games with them, and accuse me of not spending any time with her. We were both incredibly toxic, petty, and mean to each other, and painting this behaviour as one-sided is unfair and untrue. We had both behaved despicably, and the more time we spent with each other, the more toxic our relationship became. After
Is he ever gonna respond to the videos of him shouting at her?
I moved in with
Did I just see Lewis McClung?
Alice,
mentions
Alice wouldn't let me go see
he mentions Lewis McClung in here.
any of my friends, and when I was invited to a party, Alice told me that I couldn't go. Me and Alice argued in person about my invite to this
Alice, how could you?
party, and Alice told me that I couldn't go because I
Alice, how the fuck could you?
had responsibilities, although at the time I had had nothing planned and I was not aware that I had something to do on that weekend. The more the
Okay.
conversation went on, the more Alice told me that I would have to deal with the consequences if I went, and it made me very much feel like I was not allowed to go. Alice then began to guilt trip
Wow, you were isolated, huh?
me and tried to make
For a story about how you were both really abusive, this really just focused on how horrible she was to you, huh?
me feel bad for ever suggesting that I wanted to go to see my friends in the first place. When the party ended up happening, I didn't go, and all of the things that Alice said that I would have to be responsible for didn't happen, as it was not true, and it was simply being used as a way to keep me from going to the party.
Wow, what a
Throughout the
bad
time we
guy.
lived together, Alice had friends and family around on multiple occasions, but I was not allowed to do the same. Alice was going through my phone and cutting me off from people I knew and would argue with me if I spent time in my office working or talking to the few friends that I had left. I had chosen to live near Alice and her family because that's what she wanted. But when I wanted to see my friends and family, Alice would make excuses for why I couldn't leave the house. Alice has posted in her document that I didn't ask her to move in and that I just assumed that she would. Not only do I find this accusation odd, it is also completely untrue. Alice's mum drove us to viewings together, and it was something that we had been planning for months. I did multiple viewings with Alice, and we ended up picking a house together and moving in with each other, which would not be possible if I hadn't asked, as we were both on the lease. This is something that we had mutually discussed, and I do not understand why Alice has written this. Alice says in her document that she told me she was scared to move in, and has screenshotted this exact text message in real time so that it could be used to build her document that she had been writing throughout our relationship. I was incredibly confused at why Alice had messaged me this after all the viewings we had gone to together. Obviously, I was not unaware of how horribly toxic our relationship was, as I tried to leave at many points, but I had been threatened or blackmailed out of doing so. I believe that Alice sent this so that she could retroactively build the full story she has ended up sharing publicly on social
Yes, she would threaten threaten him by saying, "I will tell people how bad you were to me."
social media, as there was never any concern for her safety shown at any point before this, and that's because I was never physically abusive towards Alice, and she knows this, as the only person constantly complaining about being physically abused was me. Alice had complained about me insulting her, but as
I
I've
don't know, man. I kind of just watched you talk about how you were gonna bash your fucking head into a wall. So
shown, I would react badly to the constant physical abuse and gaslighting that I was being put through, which Alice has completely denied and hidden from her document. Alice has also gone on to accuse me of kicking her in her document, but what she has written is a completely false version of events. Alice says in her document that on her way out of the kitchen, I kicked her in the back, and that she turned away and said nothing. This story has been changed many times since this argument took place. When it happened, Alice texted me saying that I had only stuck a leg out. This is because I never kicked Alice, and her story has been greatly exaggerated to make me look like I've been physical with Alice throughout our relationship instead of her. Alice texted
I didn't kick her. I just stuck my leg out at her. Oh, that's crazy.
me recalling events after she had left, as we had texted each other about the argument that we had just had, and it's not at all what she has written in her document. Alice has taken this and then gone on to accuse me of kicking her in future arguments when it's not at all what happened, as shown in these text messages.
You just stuck your leg out at her? Like, was that like the middle finger? Give her the middle toe? Like, what does sticking your leg out at somebody mean? It sounds like it means you're trying to say that you kicked somebody, but in a less aggressive way, because you know it makes you look like a fucking piece of shit.
Alice started accusing me of kicking her for leverage against me, and started to say I kicked her when I tried to talk to her about the issues I've been bringing up throughout our relationship, and has now written a story backwards from this, which is untrue. Alice shared a video from the same day of me following her around and yelling at her. I'm incredibly angry and upset in this video. The only context given is that Alice says that this is when I kicked her, which, as I have shown, is not what she had said at the time in the text messages.
Right, you stuck a leg out at her, which makes so much sense.
As it is not what happened. I was angry and upset because Alice had hit me and then had begun to threaten me. When I got angry and started to lose my temper, Alice recorded me. Alice says that she recorded this because she was scared that I'd hit her again, but this is false, as I hadn't kicked her or hit her. Alice has then
No. He just stuck his leg out at her, or whatever that means.
begun recording me halfway through an argument that started because she had hit me after we had argued on the sofa as a way to pass off a completely false story. I shouldn't have followed Alice around and ranted at her and insulted her, but I was incredibly upset with how she had hit me, and then began to blame me for why she was abusing me, and she told me I deserved it. This is why I started listing all the things I had issues with, as I thought it was ridiculous that Alice had assaulted me again, and then treated me like I was the only part of the problem. And
well, I don't think so. I think that she just stuck his arm out at him, didn't she? That's what I heard.
Entirely responsible for why our relationship was so toxic. The kicking incident will be brought up in many arguments from this point on. Part of the problem, and entirely responsible for why our relationship blame me for why she was abusing me, and she told me I deserved it. This is why I started listing all the things I had issues with, as I thought it was ridiculous that Alice had assaulted me again, and then treated me like I was the only part of the problem, and entirely responsible for why our relationship was so toxic. The kicking incident would be brought up in many arguments from this point on. The more we would fight after the breakup, the more I pulled away, and the more Alice would change the story to sound worse, and would tell me to apologize for kicking her after tormenting and blackmailing me. Alice has wrote in our document that I carried many issues into our relationship, and has written that she is an empath, and that I am a narcissist. This is
Okay.
not what I was told by Alice when we started dating. Alice had told me that she had borderline personality disorder, but that she was self-diagnosed. I am confused why this has not been mentioned at any point in this document, as it was a big part of our relationship and how we interacted with each other. Alice sent me a video on TikTok after we had an argument.
Well, I guess you are too, so.
Where she had begun to verbally abuse me, go through my phone, and hit me during our arguments.
Do you or someone you know possibly have borderline personality disorder? Here are the key features. An intense
Oh my god, dude. I feel like we watched another weirdo do this, where they put out some random fucking TikTok about what the symptoms of somebody with something is. Like, they'll put it on the screen, be like, this person was really bad to me, and then they'll show it some random TikToker explaining to you what that thing. I don't know why. Who else did that? And it was so weird when they did it. It just comes off as like bizarre. It's like, why would you show us a fucking TikTok? You know? Who the fuck else did that?
fear of abandonment, even going to extreme measures to avoid it, whether it's real or just imagined. A pattern of unstable, intense relationships, such as idealizing someone 1 minute, and then as soon as that person falls short on something, seeing them as totally bad. Rapid changes in self-identity and self-image, sometimes even shifting their goals, shifting their values, or viewing themselves as bad, or sometimes even feeling as if they don't exist at all. Periods of paranoia that seem to be related to being stressed, and a loss of contact with reality, which can last from a few minutes to a few hours. Impulsive and risky behaviors that are fun in the moment but have a high chance of danger, such as gambling, reckless driving, unsafe sex, spending sprees, binge eating, drug abuse, or even sabotaging success by quitting a good job or ending a positive relationship. Suicidal threats or suicidal behavior, or even self-injury, often in response to the person fearing separation or abandonment. Wide mood swings that can last from a few hours to a few days and can include intense happiness or irritability or shame or anxiety. Ongoing feelings of
Well, it just sounds like BPD is just a woman. It's just being a woman.
emptiness. And here's the kicker. Inappropriate, intense anger, such as losing their temper, being sarcastic or bitter, or even getting involved in physical fights. If you or someone you know is exhibiting a lot of these signs a lot of the time, it might be borderline personality disorder.
Alice had sent me this as an explanation for her behaviour, because I did not understand why she had been hitting me and insulting me from what seemingly came from nowhere. Alice told me that she had a mental illness, and that was why she was having these issues, and she wanted me to understand. I told Alice I didn't like the TikTok as she had sent it to me out of the blue, and that I would prefer to have a proper conversation.
Okay, I feel like maybe you could have led with this. This might be something because she's sending him a video about her maybe having BPD because she's an obnoxious, like a weird TikTok edgy like loser. Sorry, but that's like what that sounds like to me. Most people, like everybody, can identify with that TikTok. BPD isn't just having the symptoms of it; it's to such an extreme that it becomes a problematic. So, like, I guess that's something, but like, not even. What the fuck? But it doesn't negate like the literal like proof that you showed us that you abused your girlfriend in the beginning plus the videos. So like, okay, it's something, I guess. Sorry.
Explanation for her behaviour, because I did not understand why she had been hitting me and insulting me from what seemingly came from nowhere. Alice told me that she had a mental illness, and that was why she was having these issues, and she wanted me to understand. I told Alice I didn't like the TikTok because she had sent it to me out of the blue, and that I would have preferred to have a proper conversation about something that was this serious. Alice says I was making her feel bad about her being her, and that I should know this stuff about her. I told her it was not something that I worried about, as I wanted to reassure Alice that it was something that we could talk about, and that I could understand it. To be clear, I was not diagnosed with BPD at the time of this conversation. I told Alice that it makes me anxious receiving a video unprompted about our relationship, saying that she was seeing me as entirely bad if I fall short, as I felt that was a lot of pressure to put on someone when the reactions to my shortcomings were for Alice to become more controlling and physically abusive. I took it personally, and looking back on these messages, I should have handled this a lot better. I felt that I was being told that I could no longer
None of these things have anything to do with physical abuse.
Short, as I felt that was a lot of pressure to put on someone when the reactions to my shortcomings were for Alice to become more controlling and physically abusive.
None of these have anything to do with physical abuse. I'm like reading through these. None of these say anything about physical abuse. What? It's just talking about falling short and being upset with the other person. What?
I took it personally, and looking back on these messages, I should have handled this a lot better. I felt that I was being told that I could no longer speak up in our relationship, so I was being told that every issue was the result of this mental illness. I was worried that if I tried to talk about my problems, it would upset Alice or trigger her. After Alice told me that she had BPD, I chalked down a lot of the reactions and responses I was getting to Alice's mental illness. To see it not mentioned at all in the document, and to see Alice describe herself as an empath, is something that deeply confuses me, as it is not what I had been told throughout our relationship. Alice has also written a story about her birthday, where she accuses me of cancelling it. Alice wrote that he ended up cancelling
Canceling your birthday, liberal.
coming to see me on my birthday, in brackets, or forgot it, and went to see Star Wars with his friend instead of seeing me. When I told him it was my birthday, he ended up going out after the movie to grab a gift and eventually came to my place at midnight. I spent the whole day waiting for him. He invalidates my feelings after I said I got upset about it and tried to justify it by hanging out properly before my birthday came. Everything that Alice has written about this is a lie. I did not forget
I don't care.
Alice's birthday or cancel it, and the text messages from the day show that what Alice has written here is untrue. I was booked into a Star Wars premiere by my management, and I texted Alice straight away and made her aware that I was working earlier in the day,
Why would your management book you for a Star Wars premiere? What?
that I could come over late. We hadn't arranged anything at this point, and there were no prior plans. I was telling Alice when I was available, and that I had work booked earlier in that day. I thought it was completely ordinary to go from work to see Alice on her birthday. I did not forget or cancel it. I did the opposite.
I don't even think I would ever believe that you were going to a Star Wars premiere for work at all, but okay.
Shown in these messages, and I made plans a week in advance.
Does the UK not have any real celebrities that they're inviting, like a fucking YouTuber?
Alice has written that I tried to arrange hanging out properly to justify apparently forgetting her birthday, even though the conversation was about her birthday and making plans for seeing her. This has nothing to do with Alice's birthday. I was simply telling her I wanted to hang out properly that day because the previous day we hadn't talked for very long. Alice then says I went to see a movie, but this is unfair as it was scheduled for work and I was transparent about this. We hadn't talked for very long. Alice then says I went to see a movie, but this is unfair as it was scheduled for work and I was transparent about this.
Okay, so not for nothing. If this is like a work thing, then like do you have any proof? Like, do you show us a picture of you being there? That would be like, because I imagine if you were doing this for work, part of it is a publicity thing, right? So do you have anywhere where that's communicated? I'm very confused.
It was never made apparent to me that Alice was upset about this or that this was at any point an issue. I had to attend work so I could pay for everything, especially due to the situation I was in financially with my YouTube network. Alice has said that I bought her a single gift after seeing the movie and that I eventually came to hers at midnight. I called Alice at 1 past midnight, the moment it had become her birthday, and I know this because I sent a picture of me calling Alice on iMessage, and we then spoke on Discord where I wished her happy birthday. Not only did I also text Alice throughout the day before I had left to see her, I wished her happy birthday on the text messages again for the second time after our call earlier in the morning. I had also bought Alice gifts in advance and wrapped them, and she knows this because I'd already showed her that I had wrapped them before. It's not possible that I forgot Alice's birthday and only bought one gift when I'd sent her a picture of her presents that I had wrapped, and conveniently, this has been left out of the document as it doesn't fit the story that Alice has created. Alice says that I cancelled her birthday and that she had to tell me it was her birthday because I had forgotten it, but this is not true. I had sent text to Alice about being excited to see her on her birthday.
Why wouldn't you take your girlfriend to the Star Wars premiere with? I'm very confused.
And I had gone out to get her some more gifts on the day of her birthday to add to the ones I had already bought her and wrapped. I texted her asking for her wrist size for the bracelet that I was buying her as an add-on to the presents I had already wrapped and ordered online. Alice says that she had spent the whole day waiting for me, but we texted the entire day. She was completely aware of when I was going to arrive and what my schedule with work was. I asked Alice to send me her address so that I could walk from the station, and then proceeded to send her a photograph of me carrying the bag of gifts that I had bought for her as I walked to her house. I did see Alice on her birthday as we had planned. I did not buy her one last-minute gift on the way from work as I brought everything with me. I went directly from work to see Alice as we had planned, and when I arrived everything was fine, and there was no complaints about this, because once again, again, it was exactly as we had arranged. The entire paragraph that Alice has written about her birthday is a complete lie. I was confused when I read this originally, as everything was so clearly a provable lie. I believe this was written because Alice had forgotten my birthday, and I complained about this on text when it happened, and because of this, Alice has written...
You fucking forgot, then didn't call me. I didn't forget. And she calls him the arsler. It's even my calendar. I really didn't stop being a bad she says a bad word. You're so rich saying this when you ditched me for fucking Star Wars. Fuck off. I literally came over. He sits here and goes on this entire thing about how she didn't fucking, like, about how he went to a Star Wars movie for work and didn't ditch her, and that she's lying and she knew that. And then he shows us a text message of her saying that, like, that he ditched her. Like, what are you doing? Holy fuck, he's so stupid.
Written a story to make it seem like I had forgotten hers instead. Alice has also written in a document about the time that she had told me that she had been sexually assaulted in the past. Okay. Alice wrote that we ended up going on holiday together to Italy in July, and an argument came about when he was watching a video about a girl being hypersexual after trauma. I opened up to him about my essay and the trauma that I'd been through myself. In response to this, he tells me he doesn't want to know what has been done to me by other guys, and I ended up leaving into another room crying. He threatened to leave and get a flight back on his own, taking into account this was my only third time abroad, and he knew that it would make me very upset and scared, like he knew I needed him there with me. Bring up weird shit on our first holiday, you ruin every moment, I have no fond memories with you. I spoke about something I'd gone through with the trauma, opening up to him about my experience of SA, and this is how he responded. This is not what happened at all. I was scrolling through TikTok and watching a video because I was about to about my experience.
Cause you're fucking weird. Yup, it's you. Bring up weird shit. It's our first holiday. You ruin every moment. Was you too. I have no fond memories with you. Actually, none. Okay, so this is supposedly him saying. Okay, so what's what?
Experience of SA, and this is how he responded. This is not what happened at all. I was scrolling through TikTok and watching a video because I was about to record when Alice, who was standing behind me out of nowhere, told me that she had slept with many people due to hypersexuality. The video I was watching was not about sexual trauma at all, so I was massively taken aback by this comment and thought it was an odd thing to say on the first day of our holiday. I was not really sure what to say as a response, so I told Alice that I didn't like how she had brought this up, and I didn't think it was the best way to start a conversation about something as serious and delicate as this. She didn't open up to me about being sexually assaulted. I was not even aware of the conversation and what it was about, as Alice had only made a passing comment about hypersexuality and her previous partners. After I'd finished work, I went to the bedroom to talk to her, and she refused to speak to me. Alice then told me that I should sleep on the sofa. I was more than willing to talk about whatever Alice wanted to, and I apologized for upsetting her. When I mentioned again that I was not annoyed, I was just surprised by what she...
It's just so interesting, because when you hear these stories, it's very clear that, like, what happened isn't, like, he's not telling you what actually happened. He's like, yeah, you know, she brought up this thing, and I was like, here's my, I got a little upset by it, and then she just went off the rails, and then afterwards I was like, hey, you want to talk about it? And she was like, she ignored me. Obviously, what actually happened is that let's say that this did happen, to some degree, he probably starts fucking screaming at her and then having a goddamn meltdown. That's much more likely as to what happened here. And he's pretending that it was just really, like, he was such a nice, like, cordial fella, and she was just overreacting. It's like, get the fuck out of here.
She had said, she told me she didn't care, pushed me, and told me to sleep in the other room. I sent Alice that message because I was incredibly defeated at the time. There was only so much fighting and physical abuse that I could take, and it had been constant for months. I was angry and upset about her pushing me constantly. It had nothing to do with the conversation about sexual assault that Alice has referenced in this document. I believe Alice has created this false version of events due to a
Wouldn't the hypersexuality be about her being sexually assaulted, though, by this logic?
Conversation that we had after we had broken up, as Alice is...
Like, what sounds like what actually happened is a mixture of the two stories, that she's brought this up poorly. She was like, oh, I'm hypersexual because I was sexually assaulted, and then he got upset because he doesn't want to hear that because he's a fucking weirdo and doesn't actually love his partner, probably, and he's selfish, and that's probably what the actual accurate depiction of what happened here is.
Started to use personal stories I had told her to torment me. I had confided in Alice about being sexually assaulted when we had begun dating, and after our breakup, Alice had blackmailed me and was using my reactions to build a document. So she started to follow people that I knew and had personal connections with to try and trigger a reaction from me. Alice followed the person who I had told her had
Now he was sexually assaulted? I'm not sure you followed him and blank, apparently. What?
She assaulted me in the hopes that I would react. I was incredibly upset that Alice was using something deeply personal that I had told her about in confidence as a way to get...
Wait, what? Where does it say that? That's not to do with me. No, probably not. Go for it. People message me about... I mean, people message me about me being sexually assaulted. I'm not sure, but I didn't realize you followed him blank. Apparently, I'm just losing my mind, and I want to die. I'm sorry you have spoken to him. Can I ask a question without you getting upset? Why did you follow someone who I told you between us sexually assaulted me?
In the hopes that I would react. I was incredibly...
Oh, okay. I'm not angry at you. I understand I hurt you deeply. I'm sorry for even asking, but I just can't get in my head around it. Well, if you're saying I acknowledge you hurt me deeply, maybe that's why she did it. I have no idea what we're talking about. Well, then I guess you know why. Okay, I don't understand. I'm sorry. Can you explain to me? You answer your own question. I read our old messages for days. You have no idea what emotions I went through reliving it all. Okay, so if this did happen, she did it to upset him because he was horribly abusive to her. Okay.
Really upset that Alice was using something deeply personal that I had told her about in confidence as a way to get to me. Alice messaged me saying that I knew why, and then went on to clarify that she did this because she was upset with me. We continued to talk about it, and this is when Alice told me that I should have fought back. I've blurred the names as I have no interest in making this a public matter, and I've
fought back. Okay. Let's see. He came in behind me. I was mid-conversation. He grabs me from behind. I didn't see him. Pushed me over the couch like I'm dangling legs in the air. Twice in a week. I wanted to die. Okay. It's fucking wild. I don't even know how much of this is true.
To talk about it, and this is when Alice told me that I should have fought back. I've blurred the names as I have no interest in making this a public matter, and I have no intention to discuss this publicly beyond this, as I hoped it would remain private between us. But Alice has since used this to try and hurt me, and has accused me of doing exactly what she had been doing intentionally to induce a mental breakdown that she could use for her document. Alice has still been harassing me online to this day, and has begun to go after other people that she believes are friends with me. Alice posted a series of comments on TikTok, claiming that every YouTuber who has similar thumbnails is working with me or for me. Fabricating stories that I am employed by any YouTuber who makes commentary videos is ridiculous and untrue. I have seen recently that multiple YouTubers have made videos on my former editor, Danky Jabo. They've accused him of being mentored by me, and they claim that we are friends. Because of this accusation, Danky Jabo has lost over 11,000 subscribers. The reason
I'm pretty sure he recovered and then some. So, but okay.
This rumor began is because Alice messaged the YouTuber known as Cataclysm and told her that a friend of hers had messaged Danky Jabo because he still followed me, and this can be found in a video that Cataclysm has deleted.
I don't care. To be absolutely honest with you. If anybody had the right to be annoying and obnoxious about this, it would be your ex, so I don't really care.
By somebody who has been outed as an abuser or who you know is an abuser just because Alex has done, for example, a little bit for you and helped your career, you're a scumbag.
They were still wrong about this whole thing, but I'm not really going to fault this other girl for being fucking scarred from you being abusive to her, so...
an enabler and you don't genuinely believe in what you're talking about. A little example I have here is I received a screenshot from Alice, which was one of Alice's friends in contact with a content creator called Danky Jabo. Basically, Danky Jabo got a DM from someone who Alice knows. Alice being...
Yeah, we get it.
ImAllexx's ex-girlfriend, saying, "Is there a reason you still follow and work for an abusive piece of shit?" To which Jesse, Danky Jabo, replied and said, "I'm so sorry, mate. I'll unfollow the annoying orange right now."
Because one of Alice's friends decided to reach out to him and ask why, if it was an accident, if he meant to unfollow him, or if he just didn't know what was going on.
I do not understand why my ex-girlfriend and her apparent friends have been messaging people who still follow me 8 months after I've stopped posting entirely and over a year since we have broken up. Alice,
well, I don't think that you being abusive goes away, so...
to this day is trying to interfere with my personal life by attempting to isolate me, going as far as harassing people because she believes that we know each other. Alice went after my friends and is now scouting my social media and encouraging YouTubers to expose people based on whether they follow my inactive social media accounts. Alice took the DM that she claimed a friend had sent her from Danky Jabo and sent it to Cataclysm, who then proceeded to make various posts and YouTube videos claiming that Danky Jabo was a misogynist, an abuse apologist, and even hearted a comment claiming that he could be a future sexual assaulter.
From the moment I ignored her offer to join call with her and her friends, she had begun randomly messaging me unwarranted, hateful messages whenever she felt like it. Not only that, but she was also hearting comments on her YouTube channel that
what does this have to do with anything anymore? It doesn't matter. He ended up winning out on this, so...
accused me of being a potential sexual assaulter. The fact that either of you act as though you were trying to be fair at any point, that you were trying to be respectful at any point, is honestly laughable.
Cataclysm posted that she wanted to expose someone so bad. This was a tweet made before Cataclysm had uploaded any video or live stream about Danky Jabo, who she then went on to expose by revealing this DM that Alice had sent her, claiming that this was proof that we knew each other. Alice responded to the tweet that Cataclysm made, saying that she would do it for her, when Cataclysm claimed that she couldn't expose Danky Jabo for legal reasons. Cataclysm then made tweets about Danky Jabo that were negative, that Alice retweeted and shared. These tweets can no longer be found, as Cataclysm has deleted her Twitter account after Danky Jabo's response video. Alice has not only continued to harass me for the last year, but has now gone after my former editor and tried to cancel him because she created a conspiracy that he is a friend of mine and that we work with each other. This has led to him being slandered and harassed online by various content creators who have now apologized because of this lie that she had started. Other YouTubers have also claimed that because our thumbnails were similar, we must be friends.
one of the only pieces of evidence that they show are that our thumbnails are similar.
You can even tell the blatant mentoring through the exact same thumbnail design. They use the exact same thumbnail design. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just more proof that he mentored him or taught him his ways.
I wonder if this was like one of those formative moments for this. Like he saw this, like ImAllexx saw this situation go in the favor of Danky Jabo, and he's like, oh, maybe I could talk about this, and then I can make it kind of like attach that story to this story and make it seem like people are being super unreasonable about it, you know?
This is also a point made by both Cataclysm and an actual old friend of Alex and Jake Baz, who was previously featured on his channel before.
When Alex stopped posting because of everything that happened, Jesse then started posting very much in the style of Alex, with Alex's thumbnails, etc., etc.
Coincidentally, your thumbnails seems to be only since he's quit. Your thumbnails
this guy's so ugly.
Have started getting a
sorry
lot more like Alex's, which is weird.
Not really. Sounds like a trend in the community.
Why would you only just start doing that now, coincidentally, when he stops uploading?
However, the great irony
To take over his audience, baby.
of this point is that the very thumbnails on the streams that my thumbnails are being criticized on are the exact thumbnail style that somehow prove that Alex is mentoring me.
These YouTubers accuse Danky Jabo of being mentored by me based on his style of thumbnails. But Jake Baz and Cataclysm have also taken my thumbnail style and used it in the very videos where they attempt to cancel him after making multiple videos calling me an abuser.
And not only that, but Cataclysm still continues to use the very thumbnails that she's criticizing me for to this day. By that logic, is she also being mentored by Alex? No, obviously not, because it's just a YouTube thumbnail. And like I said, I haven't spoken to Alex since my last payment from him. He has nothing to do with my channel.
To take my thumbnail style after calling me an abuser, whilst attacking another content creator for
Holy fuck.
doing the same is ridiculous and unfair, especially when the goal was to try and ruin somebody's YouTube career.
You would not have made this many baseless accusations against me that do not accurately represent the conversations that took place between us. You wouldn't excitedly be tweeting about how much you wanted to expose me, and you wouldn't be saying shit like this on stream.
And it makes me feel like sad. Like I just want to like log into his channel and delete it. Like it needs to be deleted.
Another ridiculous piece of evidence that they use is that I still follow ImAllexx's Instagram account.
Also, what some people have noticed, which is what Katie alluded to in a video as well,
He looks like a Party City costume. Like, what is happening here?
is that Danky Jabo is still following Alex.
Danky
So,
Jabo is still following Alex.
This is true. If I had a look earlier before the stream, so Danky Jabo is following Alex and is still followed by Alex as
Wow,
well.
that's crazy.
So, they're still around each other. That's what I do know.
Apparently, and still now, Jesse followed and still follows ImAllexx.
Now, Danky Jabo was still following Alex.
If our thumbnails being the same and someone following me means that I am mentoring them, then why until a few weeks ago did Cataclysm still follow me on TikTok and use my thumbnail style? This does not mean that we are friends, or that I am mentoring Cataclysm. I find it ridiculous that this has been used to prove that I'm friends with people, and the same people saying this are doing the exact same. Cataclysm also went on to do a live stream where she made claims about me that are untrue.
Alex said stuff about me, and I didn't even know him. Like Alex was like cocky as shit because like I followed Alex for quite a long time, and Alex made a comment being like, "Oh, I should probably follow her back at some point," and he made some weird comment, like as if like I don't know, it was just weird. It was like kind of patronizing.
I had followed Katie on Twitter and we had interacted once, and she wished me a happy birthday. I did not follow Katie back on Instagram because Alice had accused me of getting close with Katie, even
Happy birthday, dude.
though we had never called or spoken outside
Happy
of this.
birthday.
I sent this to Alice to show that we only ever had one interaction to prove that I was not involved with Cataclysm in any way. These messages were 2 months after we had broken up, because Alice was still monitoring my social media activity and friendship circle and trying to prevent me from being friends with anyone, something that she's still doing to this day. I would like to apologise to Danky Jabo. My actions are not something that he is responsible for, and I apologise that I did not respond sooner. For the last year, I've been in and out of hospital, and this greatly delayed my response. I was unable to make a video at this time, and that is why it's taken me so long to address this. In this time, Alice has posted many things about me that are untrue, and has posted this TikTok that people believe is in reference.
So just to be clear, you said you're in and out of the hospital. You showed us a picture of you being in the hospital one time.
To me, address this. In this time, Alice has posted many things about me that are untrue. To make a video at this time, and for the last year, I've been in and out.
Okay, so I've been in and out of the hospital this year too. I went to the hospital. I thought I was having a heart attack. I had heartburn. I went to like basically a hospital bed. You want to know why? Because I was getting a what is it called? The fucking endoscopy. You're showing us one picture of you in the hospital. Like, well, I don't know what the fuck that means. Maybe this guy got a colonoscopy because he fucking tore his ass open or something. Maybe he like fucking sprained his ankle. Like, what does this mean to me? You're just showing me. You're just showing me a picture of you in a hospital bed. It doesn't mean anything to me at all. I was in and out of the hospital. Show me more. I don't know. Give me more proof about it. Like, what do you want me to tell you?
Hospice. In this time, Alice has posted many things about me that are untrue, and has posted this TikTok that people believe is in reference to me.
Don't ask me about my ex, let's just pretend that nigga died. Ain't no pressure by
Ooh, she called you the N-word.
no nigga tell his ass to fall in.
Alice says that she'd done everything she could and pressed charges on me. This never happened, and once again is another lie. Since
What?
Alice says that she'd done everything she could.
Yeah, I did everything she did everything she could. So she tried to press charges, just they didn't go through. Like, I don't understand.
And pressed charges on me. This never happened, and once again is another lie. Since Alice posted a document, 2 of my ex-girlfriends made posts about me. My ex-girlfriend Jess, who I dated in 2019, wrote a statement that she had then deleted before she reached out to me to talk privately. Jess told me that Alice had contacted her and had lied about a police investigation and asked her to make a statement to back hers. Me and Jess have spoken to each other many times since, and we have resolved this, and I greatly appreciate that she reached out to me. King Anna, a YouTuber who I dated in 2018, has also posted a statement about me online. There is no evidence to support anything that has been written in this statement, and that's because what was written is completely untrue. At no point during our relationship did I at any point ever get physical. To write a statement that contains no screenshots, text, or evidence to support these false claims shows them for what they are: baseless and untrue. Me and Anna continued to stay in contact with each other after the breakup. We had met up at multiple gaming conventions in England and Los Angeles, and all of these messages were over a year after we had broken up, as we hadn't had any form of falling out, and we had maintained a friendship after our relationship had ended. Anna wrote in her document that it was the most toxic relationship she had ever been in, and that she was lucky to get out of it when she did. But we had stayed in contact for an entire year after, and Anna had even come round to my flat in London, where we had food and went out.
What? I thought I never confirmed, but I personally kept my relationship private. I did Alex, blah, blah, blah. It was the most toxic relationship I've ever been in. Wait, what are you talking about? So you had a toxic relationship. Okay. And then what, you guys hung out after? Okay.
for dinner. A year after our breakup, I was invited to and took part in King Anna's charity livestream event because she had asked me to be a guest. I believe that we were on good terms after our breakup, and that there was
Doesn't mean that your relationship wasn't toxic, but okay.
never any issues brought up with me personally in the entire time that we knew each other, and this was the first time that I had heard of these completely false and baseless allegations that she has made against me.
That's crazy. There's multiple women saying that you were toxic and abusive. Shit, that must be baseless.
See a statement that is retroactive.
It's not based, that's why, guys. Alright, it's not based.
Been built on my abusive relationship with my ex-partner Alice deeply upsets me. Anna has also used this as an opportunity to blame me for a situation we were involved in with another YouTuber called Slazzo. The messages between us at the time show that Anna wrote the statement on Slazzo with his ex-girlfriend Che, and that I ignored this message at the time that she had sent it to me. I was aware of the situation, but I had no involvement in writing anything, and Anna had even messaged me acknowledging that I didn't want to be involved, which is why I had not replied to her messages where she had tried to involve me. To write that everyone got the blame for something that I had apparently made up, when in reality, as shown here, Anna was the person who had written the statement, is ridiculous and a blame.
Yeah, and you overly affirmed the story, like we know. I don't remember the specifics, but that was what it was. He overly affirmed it and jumped onto it because he's a fucking bitch.
Lie. I should never have shared what Anna and Che had written, and I apologized privately to Slazzo when it took place at the time. I wish no ill will to any of my previous
Well, how does privately help him if you publicly fucking defamed him?
partners, and I understand that claiming my innocence in these relationships will be difficult, but I cannot accept these false allegations that have been made against me. Mia Xmon, an influencer and content creator who was under the same management as me, posted a statement which is a complete lie. Mia claims that she spoke to my management and that they dropped me in June 2023 because she had made them aware of the rumors surrounding me and my relationship with Alice. Mia says that she put pressure on my management to drop me due to these rumors, and that they did after she had asked. I was never kicked from my management. I left my management in January 2024 on my own accord, as shown in these messages. Mia says I was kicked from management in June 2023, but I'd still been working with them and doing brand deals and premieres for the entirety of that year, as shown by this message from my management in July, and these messages about the Star Wars premiere I attended in August, 2 months after Mia claims that they had dropped this message.
Where's the Star Wars thing? Let's see.
From my management in July, and these messages about the Star Wars premiere I attended in August, 2 months after Mia claims that they had dropped me. I asked to leave my management in January 2024, which is 7 months after Mia claims she got me kicked from my management. I was never dropped or had any conversations about my relationship with my management at any point. What Mia has posted is a complete lie. I would like to make it incredibly clear that no one at any point ever reached out to me as a friend or colleague and asked me about my relationship until I now reached out to me, which I have discussed in this video, and that was months after we had broken up. At no point did anyone ask for my side or story. Nobody at all was aware of any of the information that I've shared in this video except for Alice, because nobody at any point ever asked.
So why didn't you just say something? Why'd you wait 9 months for the fucking heat to die down?
One instance when my friends reached out to me, they leaked everything to my abuser. I did not expect people to understand my situation, and I was terrified to the point to which it had gotten to. I did not think there was anyone I could speak to, and I was terrified about what would happen if I did, as Alice had full access to my phone for the entire time we were together, while she unfollowed and isolated me from my friends, and because of this I stayed in a relationship which continued to get worse.
She fucking groomed him, guys. That's what he's saying. That's what he's saying here. He said she fucking groomed him.
Alice has excused her behaviour as reactive abuse, and has shown text messages where she has blurred out that she had been starting these fights. I had apologised to her after I had reactive abuse, and has shown text messages where she has blurred out that she...
How does the blurring out admit that she started it? I don't understand. Oh, I guess here. She sent a car. Hold on. She sent a car. And cars. I'm very sorry about yesterday. I know I crossed the line when I was angry. It isn't right to do no matter how mad I am at you. I'm sorry I went that far. Thank you for apologizing about that. It means more than you know. At breakfast in bed. What? Wait, what? Thank you for apologizing about that. It means more than you know. At a breakfast in bed. That and a breakfast in bed. I think I'm good. I'm sorry I even started it. Just to be clear, first and foremost, if you are like so mental, if you have her mentally wrapped, then her saying this would be consistent with her story. Second of all, what does it mean that she started it? Did she start shooting you with a gun, or did she say something that triggered the fuck out of you, and then you went off, and then you convinced her that it was partially her fault? Okay, who knows? I guess. Who the fuck knows?
She had been starting these fights. I had apologized to her after
She'd been starting these fights. Incredible. Oop, what did I just do? I just think I think I farted in my pants.
I had reacted to the physical violence, gaslighting, and manipulation that she would put me through,
Gaslighting
as I was
and
deeply upset
manipulation.
over how I had reacted, as I felt I was losing control the longer I stayed in our relationship. Alice wrote in her document that I felt
Well, that part's probably true. He probably wanted control over her.
no remorse or guilt. I deeply regretted the way I had been acting, and I apologized constantly to Alice for how I had behaved. Our relationship was affecting me so greatly that I got progressively more sick the longer we stayed together. To say that things just flew past and I acted like nothing ever happened is completely untrue when it was having such a serious and severe effect on me. Alice constantly tried to push me to physical violence, which I refused to do, as she had told me to hit her on the 5th of October in an argument, and Alice said that I should hit her as a form of payback. Alice was trying to get
This? What is this message? You're Delulu. How fucking dare you think you could just admit to it and get away with it? Okay, burn me, hit me, get payback. I don't care. Watch your fucking tone. LMAO. Yes, dad. Sorry, dad. Oh my god. What should I do? Not admit it? Why aren't you apologizing and trying to fix it? LMAO. What is the context of that? Doesn't make him look very good. What's the fuck?
She had told me to hit her on the 5th of October in an argument, and Alice said that I should hit her as a form of payback. Alice was trying to get me to...
I think, to me, what I'm reading is that, like, you're a piece of shit, and she's like, fine, fucking do what you're going to usually do to me. I don't care. What?
React physically so she could use it to post online, and would constantly emotionally and physically abuse me until I would break so that she could screenshot my text messages or record me. This non-stop harassment has continued to this day, as Alice has gone after other people who she believes are my friends in an attempt to isolate me. I have not spoken to Alice or posted on my social media in nearly a year, but Alice has still been trying to control my life. Alice claimed in her document that I had projected all of my issues onto her, but has proceeded to diagnose me as a narcissist multiple times in this document, and also texted me saying that I had narcissistic personality disorder after I had reacted to Alice's abuse. Alice believed that I was on the spectrum and would call me autistic and bullied me when I tried to discuss the abuse in our relationship.
I already know that that's not true. Oh my god. She would call him autistic as like a slur. This is not the same thing. People call each other autistic like they call each other the R slur. She goes, you flimsy, emotionally autistic person. Imagine he's so autistic he thinks I mean fact to fact the exact same. Yeah, she's not actually calling him autistic. She's using it as like a way to bully. Like, yeah, you shouldn't do that. I don't really care about that right now.
The more our relationship progressed, the more I began to react emotionally to Alice's ongoing abuse.
He doesn't get paid for old videos if he doesn't post every 12 months. There's no way. Is that true? Is that how it works? Is that real? How do you know that?
As she would shut me down, stonewall me.
Wait, is that true that he doesn't get paid for old vids if he doesn't post every 12 months? What does that mean? You mean like through advertisers?
And insult me. These arguments would go on for hours, and I reached my breaking point when trying to discuss the issues that I had had. Alice would continually call me autistic, so I changed the way that I would try to discuss stuff in our conversation and arguments, just so I could get a response. Alice has then gone on to clip me during my severe mental breakdowns and has screenshotted text messages that we had in real time. This entire situation was premeditated from Alice, as she had been screenshotting me throughout these breakdowns in real time, as shown by the fact that I am still typing and the dates in the messages that she has shown.
How do you know that that's true? What makes you think that that's true? How would I look into it? That's why I'm asking. Like, how do you? What is that? Where are you getting that information from? Because that's interesting if true.
Alice has proceeded to crop out that she had nicknamed me racial slurs, as Alice freely used this language throughout our relationship.
His ads lower after a year? What ads turn off after a year? What does that mean? Are you talking about your YouTube ads turn off after a year? That's not true. What are you talking about? It's not even true.
Relationship, but has hidden this and altered her behaviour when she was knowingly recording me and building her document so that she could paint me as crazy and psychotic and push the entire blame of this onto me. I had complained about this at the beginning of our relationship and texted Alice about the fact that her and her friends use this language freely. Alice would tell me to ignore this and told me that I was stupid for complaining about it and that I cared too much about how people would perceive me online. Alice has lied that I normalised this language on Twitter despite it being her who actively bragged about it and brought it into our relationship. I'm not...
Everyone's AdSense works the same on an inactive account. I'm not understanding what?
Claiming that I am innocent in this relationship. I retaliated with vile language and threats that have been normalised, and this is disgusting and unacceptable. Alice wrote in her document that this is what happens when a narcissist meets an empath. They feed off it. But Alice has posted multiple videos about me online, a document that is filled with lies, and has also continued to harass me and others in an attempt to isolate me for the last year. I hope by not responding or reacting that Alice would move on like she had claimed she would in her document, but Alice has continued to post about me and has harassed others.
I don't think any of that's true. I don't know what you're talking about.
In an attempt to get
less value to you. I don't think any of this is true. I feel like you guys are making this up. I don't even know what you're talking about. Where'd you get this from?
To me. Alice said that these posts that she had made about me were a cry for help and not attention in her document. But Alice asked me to make a public apology to stop her ongoing harassment of me. It has been over a year since we broke up, and Alice has continued to lie about me to this day in her posts online and to other YouTubers who then posted those lies about me in videos that now have millions of views. Alice wrote in her document that after I ended the relationship, he tried to manipulate me, telling me we just need time and that he will change, and begged me to give him a chance to change and make things better. This went on for months. He kept doing this and then getting angry when I didn't give back the same energy. Alice at no point has mentioned that she was harassing me and blackmailing me privately, and that she had been asking me to fix our relationship with letters while she invited herself over and told me to make her dinner. This was going on all whilst Alice was...
Yeah, I understand that monetization turned off. YouTube may turn off monetization channels that haven't uploaded a video. I have my old channel. I haven't uploaded it in 11 months. And they haven't turned off my monetization. That's why I'm like confused about it. So I don't know what you're talking... That's my problem I'm having. I have another channel. My archive channel, it's still has ads. I haven't posted since like April of last year.
was using traumatic experiences that I had shared with her privately to torment me and drive me to a mental breakdown intentionally after I'd started to break away from our abusive relationship, and that during all of this, she had been planning to expose me for a document that she had told my ex-girlfriend Jess about. Alice wrote, "I've had threats of story manipulation from Alex, so I want to clear all of these up before he gets the chance to try and victimize himself and disregard everything he's ever done to me. But Alice has lied and manipulated these stories constantly in her document to portray a narrative which is not true. Before I end this video, I would like to apologize to anyone who I upset or offended in the videos and text messages that Alice shared. I wish no ill will on anyone who has posted about me or shared these stories online. I am ashamed that many others were dragged."
He posted before the cutoff date of month. I just don't know what you keep saying. This cutoff of monetization, but that doesn't exist. I don't understand. It's on big accounts. Cody did the same. Oh, is it just a big account thing? I don't know. Maybe it doesn't really. That's literally does not matter.
Dragged into this unintentionally because of my actions. To the many people who have reached out publicly and privately, I greatly appreciate the kindness and generosity many of you have shown at a time where I have not deserved it, and I hope that I can repay you by being a better person. Thank you for.
Why wouldn't you have deserved that? What?
Listening to what I had to say.
Okay, this is fucking slop, piss, and shit. This is so boring. Dude, honestly, I don't believe a fucking word this guy says.